by move, the world changed. City by city, the league grew. United Arab Emirates, United Kingdom. Now, the pieces take position again. This time, in India. Not just another move, the mega move. Tech Mahindra Global Chess League, Season 3. December 13 to December 24, 2025.
Hello, everyone. We are here with day number 2 of the GCL Contenders KO title section, and this is round number 2. And I am Rakesh Kulkarni with me. What exciting games we saw yesterday, Rakesh. Lot of comebacks in all the 3 sections. And you know what we saw was youth is the most interested in fighting in very, very sharp games. But of course, we're going to have exciting games today. Welcome, Rakesh. What are your expectations for day number 2?
Hello. Thank you, Sahil, for the warm introduction. And, exciting chess today. We have 8 players. 4 more will be eliminated. So, again, action-packed day. We have the men's section, the women's section, and of course, we also have the prodigy board. So, Sahil, by 4 people will be moving on to the next stage. It's the final day of the KO titled edition, and you know all guns blazing players are going to be coming out with that, and we should have lift off very soon.
Actually,
And
we
yes,
do.
we do, Sahil. We do.
Yeah, we have lift
Let's
off,
jump
and
right
you can.
into it.
Yeah, and you can already see the stakes being much higher today. You can see, for example, Aradhya Garg, an international master, facing Mitrava Guha, a grandmaster, straight away. So it's much tougher, much more exciting today. We're going to see some fascinating chess, maybe some brilliancies, maybe some blunders. And right now, Rakesh, you can see already Mitrava Guha showing why he's the specialist at this time control. Already gained a minute on the clock. And you know what? Aradhya has to play quickly, and he has to play well.
Yeah, true, Sal. This is going to be our featured matchup. We have a couple of title players facing each other, a couple of matches like that, but this is the biggest. 2501 Aradhya Garg versus 2515 Mitrabha Guha. And I was also checking Mitrabha Guha's Instagram story, and it looks like he's on an official visit with Team India as he's carrying the white passport, the diplomatic passport there. So he's, double, he's making having 2 duties. So he's traveling with the Indian team, but priority is Sahil. He is playing the GCL contenders in the evening.
Yeah, and I love the lamp. Yeah, it's like almost like a hat, a thinking cap for him right now. And he is thinking in this position. His opponent, although right now taking a lot more time, Aradhya Garg looks a bit more dejected. I think he's under a bit of pressure, right? You're facing probably the top seed of the event. Imagine the main GCL, you end up playing Magnus Carlsen in some cases. So you know you are under fire. So right now, ST played. Maybe he will play G4 next, kick that bishop back to G6, and that's a very uncomfortable pin. I potentially want to push my e-pawn, but I can't do so because my queen hangs. So very interesting game here. It's building up. Next game is again between 2 title players. It's an FM against a GM this time. Both the GMs having black pieces, Rakesh. I would say that's in favor of the challengers, right? Because they get a chance to strike in game 1. We saw how difficult it is to get a comeback if you lose the first one.
Absolutely, and it's a very good opportunity here as we see Deep Time making a question mark move, a mistake with C4, and you can really kick off as white by pushing the pawn to E4, kicking the knight away from D5, and I feel Isuru from Sri Lanka, as we see who's above us here, can spring up an early upset on the Indian Grandmaster Deep Time Ghosh.
Yeah, I would say he looks exactly as calm as Erigesi Arjun. Like you cannot guess he
Yeah.
has a +1 evaluation right now. So he's thinking about grabbing that center. Do not forget, we have the and he plays it. The idea could be
Wow.
long term, just not to push the pawn to e4, but also push them further, create a pass pawn, open up our bishops towards the king, and this could be extremely deadly. Diptyan Ghosh under pressure right now.
Absolutely. And we see the typical forehead camera, bishop c3, bishop b4 coming in, planning to hit the queen and the rook. Rook c8, Ghosh quickly moves out. And I think Deep Tan wants to play on the clock, Sahil.
Yeah, that's his strategy here for sure. And right now, he does have a pass pawn. Let's not forget about that because if white does
Mhm.
nothing, black has a pass pawn on the c file, will kind of, make white's pieces timid. They can't really move with freedom. So, of course, white has to be on point here, also behind on the clock. Meanwhile, the third game, Vaxyog against Harshal Patil. Vaxyog, the slight favorite, in terms of the titles, but Harshal Patil having the higher ratings. So, all bets are off here. And again, the white piece is looking dominant. Look at the knight on c4, Rakesh. Such a beautiful piece.
Beautiful piece for Suyog there. And Harshal, part of our Indian short form creator program there. He's a streamer as well. He's streaming this event and he got a walkover. Sahil, what do you prefer? Do you prefer like with qualifying with a walkover yesterday, or you wanted to be in the action like Suyog was yesterday with a 1.5 to half win?
It depends whom I'm playing. If I end up playing
Huh,
somebody who's
huh.
slightly weaker, I would rather get the practice. But if I'm
Yeah.
going to play Diptyan Ghosh, I might as well take rest. So it really depends on whom I might end up playing. But as of now, nobody will get to the final mark without playing some very exciting games. So right now, you see the knight on c4. Again, we saw that knight hopping into d6 yesterday. Imagine if you could
Mhm.
trade off these bishops. In fact, why not knight d6 directly? For example, knight d6. If you chop this off, pawn takes, and suddenly we see this mating idea. We saw the exact same idea in the
Yeah.
India USA match, Rakesh, where Hikaru crushed the world champion Gukesh with a very similar pattern. Rook takes d5 and then some checkmate.
Absolutely, I think I would be very, very happy if I was white. And you see the mistakes cropping in here for both players. Remember, this is a 10-minute game, 10 minute each, no increment, and a two-game mini match. So, Sahil, there is very little mistakes that you can afford to make.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we go to the final game of the open section. And this one, I think the first game we've seen, which is a bit more solid, we already see the contours
Mhm.
of the position that it's an opposite color bishop middle game. Very important, not in end game. So everybody has their chances. You could potentially imagine, the bishop sitting on d4 after f5 and e4. And that could be quite dangerous. So if I have to choose a color, Rakesh, I might just choose black here.
Yeah, and this is the only matchup that we have between two untitled players. But it's like Fateh Jellical, rated 1903 on the FIDE website, versus Alok Sinha, who's almost 2200. So Alok, the slight favorite, like on paper, but we saw Fateh winning 2-0 yesterday, Sahil. So definitely can't count him out at all.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting game. Already we can see that the players have limited time, so taking up a lot of time for the
Uh-huh.
initial moves. So it'll be
Yep.
very interesting to see who is the first one to fall in time pressure. So let's jump back to the first game between Aradhya Garg and Mitra Guha. They are going neck to neck in the position. They are going neck to neck on the clock. Rakesh, it's anybody's game right now.
Absolutely. And we did a nice roundup. Today it's much easier because just four boards
Yeah.
instead of eight yesterday. But you know what, Simon? The action and the level is going to be very high. And I would think we will be having at least one Armageddon or a tiebreaker in each of the three sections. What do you think?
Yeah, I would say maybe even two Armageddons. I think the stakes are so high. Maybe the players, might just take less risks than normal, especially because they might have more respect for their opponents. If you're playing cricket against Virat Kohli, you might not step out and hit him for a six, even though he's not a great bowler. You might just be a bit more cautious. So I expect two, but I think one is also pretty fair. Let's see what happens. Meanwhile, the bar is right in the middle, 0.06, the evaluation. Rakesh, if I was in Mitra's shoes, I would like switch on the lamp, put on my thinking cap for content again. And as if I was in deep think. but he is indeed in deep link right now, already more than a minute behind. That could be a red flag.
Absolutely, and Aradhya, very, very strong player, cannot be counted out. And though Mitraba has the control on the C file, he's trying to, get some tactics in, but you don't want to be behind on the clock, especially in a format with zero increment.
Yeah, and of course, black has doubled up, so has white now. So white is saying
Mhm.
all your effort is for nothing because I can simply trade off rooks. And apparently now that's a mistake because bishop f1 and black's pieces are quite unfortunately placed, Rakesh, because once I move my queen, the rook could barely place it. Wow.
Wow, I think Aradhya is eyeing up that diagonal queen a5 only move for Mitrava. He has to get the queen out of the line and he plays it.
Yeah, nice move. Only move there. Otherwise, the rook would have been lost. And now, of course, you can step away with the queen, for example, queen to d1. But black will also step away with the rook. So black is just in time. You could also play a pawn move to a3. Just keep the tension. Take away the b4 square from the queen. And if you look carefully, Rakesh, what squares does the queen have right now? Not many, I'm going to say.
Not many at all. And this game might be going in favor of Aradhya, though it's a two-game mini match, 1.5 points advances at least, or even if you can, of course, score two. But I was having a quick look on the other boards as well, Sahil. All boards are neck to neck. This just shows, oh, wait,
Yeah,
Isuru is completely winning, Sahil.
yeah, the first game where somebody has completely taken over. Let's see why. First of all, black does have a strong pawn, but the bishop very well defends it. It's like imagine cricket in the 90s. Sachin, you get Sachin out, you've already kind of defeated the morale of the team. It's very similar. You're a one-trick pony as the black pieces, and now white with a very strong center blocking that bishop, the queen active towards the king, the pawn coming in, the knight active, the rook's ready to come to b1. I think white is dominating, although black right now trying to clear a blockade here.
Yeah, and we can see Black has made a mini comeback by getting the queens off the board. Remember, the Black King side or the Black King was especially weak, so Isuru would have been better off keeping the queens off the board. But the queens are traded. Slight advantage for uh, Isuru is turning out to into a slight advantage for Deepta and Ghosh now.
Absolutely. And it's all about the bishop, right? Suddenly, we talked about Sachin getting out. We had a third umpire review and he's actually not out. He's back on the field. And once you exchange these bishops, Sachin Tendulkar moves forward yet again and you're under pressure, Rakesh.
It's a big mistake. Capture the bishop. Black can capture the pawn on e4. What's going on?
Ooh, that's a central pawn. As we know, central pawns are much more important. And now the strong d5 pawn is a weakness. And somehow I think even the rook b7 move doesn't do anything. Knight c5 attacks the rook. It might be a question mark, Rakesh, but I think knight is coming to d3. This is all about to go horribly for Isuru here.
Yeah, and you see the time pressure is creeping in. Black is completely winning. Deep Tan goes, get your knight into d3 and punch your ticket to round three of the GCL knockout.
Yeah, yeah, and he's going to have the white pieces in the next game, right? So he's almost
Oh.
through. So it's very very smooth game so far for Diptyan. Meanwhile, Vaxio, who was completely winning at one point, is suddenly in a dead equal position. Rakesh, it looks equal. The bar says equal, but there's still some dynamism here. If you had to choose a color, white or black, which color would you prefer playing with?
I would prefer white because of this a6 weakness that you
Yeah.
see. White's bishop is still active, but on the clock, Suyog is definitely not comfortable because even though it's the end game, remember it's a zero increment chat. White has to finish all of his moves, otherwise, doesn't matter you're a queen up, you still end up losing the game.
A nice spin by white. Keep in mind, as he's low on the clock, exchanging pieces simplifies the position, gives him some chances, attacking the rook now, attacking the bishop, and apparently bishop d5 would be a very smooth move. Also, rook d7 possible just to defend the queen. And if you take the bishop, I take the rook. So interesting position. Black is taking some time. Luckily, he has the time here, but he cannot let go of his time advantage. But as you mentioned, Rakesh, you chose the white pieces. Thanks to that weakness, in practical play, if the times were equal, I would say white is slightly better.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And yeah, mind we while you stick on this game, Sahil, I'm just having a look. Fateh versus Alok Sinha is absolutely bang equal. And yeah, Deepta and Ghosh, the only player who's completely winning. And so is Aradhya Garg. Sahil, can we have a quick look there?
Oh, wow. And look at the move he played. He actually played a brilliancy to
Wow, wow,
stun the
wow.
tournament favorite Mitrava Guha. What a move. Your queen is right now attacked. If you take the queen that happened in the game, there is an intermediate move 97, and that's
Mhm.
at least 3 of your pieces on attack. What a move to find under pressure. And now suddenly you're completely winning. You have the bishop pair. I mean, this is just game over.
Absolute game over. F3 protecting your e4 pawn, and there's no way to defend the pawn in the corner. And Sahil, with that, we might see for the very first time a grandmaster lose in this edition of the GCL.
Yeah. And that's the purpose of this edition, right? You can imagine that they're a very strong player, but might not get the opportunity directly.
Right?
He gets a
Yeah.
chance to prove his mettle against a very strong grandmaster. And Mitra Guha is one of the experts, at least in India, at this time control. And you see him getting a worse position, almost a lost position right now. Rakesh, what percentage chances if these two guys played 100 games from this position? How many games does Black manage to defend here?
About three, I feel.
Yeah,
It's
I would agree.
completely lost. And even he's down by a minute on the clock. Even like you
Yeah.
can capture chop of the knight, yeah, as you see. And the fact that you have just an extra pawn and the bishop, that is going to be the clincher here because knight is a slow piece, especially when you have pawns on
Yeah.
both sides of the board.
Yeah, very important. Bishops can, move very fast from one part of the board to the other, have a long range influence, and that helps the
Mhm.
two bishops become very strong. By the way, you can even just take on b5 as you mentioned and play
Yeah.
d5, and now you have a pass pawn. The king is coming to
Oh,
c5. It is basically resigns. Look at the wide eye gasp from Mithila Guha, who knows the game is over.
I mean, he was like, what the hell did I do here? He can't believe it. He's the tournament favorite. He's supposed to play in the title challenge, knockout challenges next week. But with this performance, he can't. Though Sahil, the only saving grace is he is not out yet. He has to win the next game on demand.
Yeah, but yeah, this one is gone though. I agree, Rakesh. I think King C5, I think it will be resignation. Aradhya playing a flawless game. By the way, we have the first result. Diptyan Ghosh has won against Isuru. Isuru was winning at one point but couldn't convert. So that's the first result. Also, Wag Suyog is lost against Harshal Patil. A
What?
complete upset there. Was drawn here. He played H5, which was a blunder. Now F4, and suddenly Black has a pass pawn potentially. F3, E3 ideas incoming. And even though it looks like Rook behind the pass pawn, Black's extra pawn counts for a lot
Yeah.
more here, Rakesh.
And you can see it. You can see Harshal above us. He's streaming to his audience. He's talking. He knows he's
Oh,
close,
blunder
but he's
again.
blundered. He has just thrown away his ticket to the knockout
Ooh.
challengers.
We often say the early bird gets the worm, but this was a little too early. Yeah? At least you have to wake up at 5, Rakesh. 3 a.m. is too early. I think he was not ready for this just yet. It needed a
Yeah,
bit more of preparation, and he just hurried with it. And now I think the game is again potentially
but
a draw.
still,
Okay. Oh, another
38
mistake.
seconds. 38 seconds for white. That is why the mistakes are coming in. Rook
Ooh,
check.
and now, ooh, wow. This is a win. This is a win, Rakesh.
Yeah, I think you can go king c1 around it. Suyog was international master. He is definitely not happy. And Sahil, this is the second upset of the day already.
Absolutely. And if you play a6, I can even just chop the pawn off. So that is hard luck. Even Rook D1 just threatens to queen, and that will be resignation for Suyog Wag, unfortunately. Yeah, Harshal Patil, what a great game to win with the black pieces.
Yeah, and he just needs to draw. You see Harshal smiling from ear to ear. He knows he's completely winning. And he's saying, yeah, 1 point. That's 1 point. One more to go. And Harshal will be through. And Sahil, another common thing between the two winners, Aradhya and Harshal, some guitar fans in the audience amongst the players tier.
Okay, I am ordering my guitar right now. Maybe that will give me some rating points. So definitely my order history is public right now. But yeah, that is going to be the end of the game. And White has enough time to Black has enough time to checkmate White here. By the way, Aradhya Garg also has won his game against Mitra Guha. Mitra just resigned. That's the result. There you see Aradhya also winning after
Wow.
King to C5. And the final game, Oh, we have another result incoming. Even in that opposite color endgame, Rakesh, opposite bishop endgame, bishop
Mhm.
d6. And how do you defend queen g3 checkmate?
That's very tough. Those queen f3, though queen h1 is the checkmate. Black is threatening. Alok Sinha is locked in. He's the heavy favorite here, and I think he should be able to get the first win here. And Alok, like Deep Tayan and Harshal and Aradhya, just need a draw. So 4 games, 4 decisive results, Sahil.
Ooh, with those four results, I am feeling that, maybe the Armageddons, we might see a lot more Armageddons because, Mitrava lost, for example, he could strike
Yeah,
back. We see in this game as well. I would not be completely shocked if we have four Armageddons, Rakesh. Any chance for that?
no way, no way. I think wait, queen h8 checkmate, threatened by white, cheeky
Ooh.
little threat.
Oh,
If
what?
you're
Oh, he played an.
makes sense. Smart by Alok. And yeah, Alok wins it. So, Sahil, to sum it up, Aradhya beat Mitrabha, Deeptayan beat Isuru, Harshal beat Suyog Wag, and lastly, Alok beat Fateh. So we are off. I think second games have started, Sahil. So
Yeah.
no rest for the wicked. Let's jump right into it. Deeptayan's game is the most far along. Let's go.
Yeah, and right now Diptyan already with a slight edge, setting up that Armageddon game, knight d5, attacking the queen, attacking the bishop. And you can imagine after knight b6, a b6, black with the double pawns. Usually they are horrible because they block each other and cannot be
Mhm.
defended. So that pawn will be attacked and white will have the bishop pair. So slight edge already for the grandmaster.
Yeah, and we saw Deeptan's smart and professional display yesterday. He won game one, then he simply played solid chess to draw the second game to qualify for today. And I think he's going to do rinse and repeat, going to do the same thing to go to 10th October's event, that is the Knockout Challengers. I think Deeptan is almost through here, Sahib.
Yeah. And what do you make of the second game here? Vaxio against Harshal Patel. Now, Vaxio with the
Uh-huh.
black pieces in a must win situation. The kind of position he has, though, will not be easy to win with black here, Rakesh. I mean, a lot of exchanges are going to happen. And if you do manage to play d5 or b5, a lot of exchanges there as well will not be super easy.
Yeah, and if White Herschel is smart, he'll play the pawn to e4, which gets us to the Marcosi bind. As it's known as a bind, it's very difficult for black to break free and very tough to play in time control. But I think Suyog has come prepared. I think his plan is I will play fast, I will play on the clock and just keep my position decent, not go the extra mile for a win.
Absolutely. I think if you have no plan, then your plan is basically the clock. That's
Yeah.
all you have right now. So let's see how this game, goes forward. Meanwhile, the Aradhya against Mitrava game has already started, and we can see Mitrava with that interesting move, Bishop to A3, and it
Ooh.
shows as a question mark, but I'm pretty sure this is preparation, trying to confuse Aradhya in the opening, and now he plays pawn to C4. But according to the bar, black is already very comfortable and even slightly better. E5, what a move!
Wow. E5. I think Aradhya realizing, I don't play for the win.
Yeah. I think he's in floated. And by the way, why is that pawn for free? I mean, if you capture this pawn, unfortunately, after bishop takes e2, queen takes e2, both your knights are rather loose. You're clumsy. And after queen to e7, one attack here, and you have to, bid alvida to one of those knights. So as of now, e5 on the board. So nice move, taking the center. And now white is wondering, you know what? I don't have much here, to be honest.
He doesn't, to be very honest, Sahil. And I would pick Aradhya to be like an 80% favorite over Mitraba to go through.
Wow, that will be a huge upset. Meanwhile, what's not an upset is Diptyan Ghosh again better with the winning position. He's gonna crush his
Wow.
opponent 2-0. The queen has almost nowhere to go because it's attacked by the pawn. You can't come to h5 because there's the bishop. You can't come to f5 because 97 forks the queen and the king. So you can't even
Beautiful.
do that. So what's your square? You have to go to h6. Oh, that is horrible.
Oh, that's ugly. I mean, if you are playing queen to h6 in a must-win game, Sahil, your chances are very, very bleak.
Absolutely. And that's how you see why Black having a long thing, because he's not happy with any of the options he sees. Often chess has this principle of process of elimination. You kind of eliminate all the bad choices one by one. But what if all the options are bad? Yeah, you're already in a worse position. So there's no good option here. And B5 does not solve matters. White can simply grab that pawn. And you can see it on Isuru's face. I think he's not as happy with his current position.
Absolutely, he uh, is extremely disappointed because he played a great match yesterday, the Sri Lankan Olympiad team player. But Isuru Alakun is just no match for Deeptan Ghosh. He's trying his bit. Maybe he can't even play Rook B8 actually. This is now completely over. Your bishop in the corner is attacked. Your queen is attacked. Can't defend both. I think
Yeah.
it's GG's.
It's GG's indeed. And I think this is the first result we are likely going to have. Meanwhile, jumping to the Vaxio game, who's saying, you know what? I am not going to give up without a fight. Harshal,
Uh-huh.
and right now, if you look at the board, it's already better for black. The queen is attacked, doesn't have a comfortable square because queen a5, again, it might be attacked at some point. So queen has to come back to that awkward defensive square to e1. That's not the dream that she had when she went out. And also look at the clock, like it's extremely favorable for Vaxio, who's putting pressure now towards the a2 pawn.
Absolutely, it looks like a dream position for Suyoki. Remember, he has to make a comeback. He has to win on demand to stay alive in the competition. Otherwise, you might go home, just after a two-game match. And let's quickly check in on the other grandmaster who has to win on demand. That's Mitraba Guha and Sahil. Things not looking good for Aradhya here after a mistake now.
Yeah, apparently D5 now. And you don't want to trade this knight for this knight because Queen A3, EF6, and
Uh-huh.
it damages your king side. Do not forget the objective of the game to get to the black king. And this is basically opening a national highway towards the black king, Rakesh. And you don't want to do that. I mean, we need development in the country, but not towards the black king. So Queen E7, D5, knight E4, nice touch by black, activating the knight before trying to grab this knight. So knight comes to c2, and now we can play knight c6, grab the pawn. So Aradhya finding some good moves to counter that slight edge white had.
Yeah, and he has realized this nice thing that he's trying to play fast, Sahil. And Aradhya definitely wants to, not play for the draw, not be very passive, allowing the Grandmaster to take up the initiative, but he's playing active moves and just playing it as a normal game.
Yep, yep. We can see Mitraba get some reinforcement with water, having that sip, trying to, have a fresh glance at the position can often help you with new ideas sometimes. And now this pawn is hanging potentially. So Rook D8 could be a very logical move. Knight C6 as well, trying to attack this. And Aradhya using that extra time. He's right on the clock as well. So good signs for Aradhya there to move to the next round. Meanwhile, not good signs for Isuru, unfortunately. Rakesh, this just looks like it's game over.
Oh yeah, this is GG's, Sahil. I mean, an extra piece, an extra point. Deeptan has everything going for him, and he is definitely a favorite, and he should be with us in the knockout challengers next week.
Yep. And on the fourth board, let's not forget another must win here for the black pieces. So white pieces losing multiple games in the previous round, and now knight takes e3 maybe played. Nice move, grabbing that strong bishop, taking away white's double bishop advantage. And now the other knight can come to c4 and attack the rook, attack the pawn. Black is ahead on the clock. So Rakesh, as of now, if you look carefully, I think Diptyan Ghosh is going to win, of course, but all the other three games, we could have three Armageddons.
In just the men's section without even waiting for the women and the prodigy board. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that is definitely possible. And it just shows how hard fought these matches have been. And nobody wants to give up on the chance, and everybody wants to come to Mumbai, Sahil.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, Bishop H5 played by Suru, trying to remove the defender of the king side. I mean, white can still just grab the bishop. Nothing changes. Queen C7, double attack on the rooks, triple attack on the pawn. It just feels like it's game over. And I'm wondering if he'll resign or if he'll play on. But Yeah, I mean, nobody ever won a game by resignation, so I kind of get it, but I think we couldn't be far away from resigning here.
Yeah, I think it's over. It's all but over for Isuru.
Yeah, here's the last threat, Queen h3, with the idea of Queen takes g2 mate, but White playing it very, very safe. If Queen h3, I could even, of course, I can bring the knight back. I can even bring the Queen to f1 then, and there is absolutely no idea for Black here. So the piece is looking very awkward. Back rank issues for Black, and the game should be over any second now. So which game shall we jump to, Rakesh? Because all the other three games still pretty tense.
I think all are pretty intense. I would love to have a look at Mitrabha there, our grandmaster.
Yeah,
Let's see.
Rakesh, by the
Yeah,
way, look at this trap, yeah? Of
yeah.
oh no, my pawn on f7. Did I just blunder that? Oh no, Diptyan, you should definitely not take that pawn. Wink, wink. But if you take that pawn, there is rook takes g2 check. You take the rook and I pick up your queen, and suddenly we have four Armageddons then. So nice trap there.
Mhm.
But of course, Diptyan doesn't fall for it. And now we jump to the other game. Rakesh, what do you make of this position?
Oh, this looks more and more better for our grandmaster from Bengal, Mitrabha Guha, multiple time Indian faster time control champion. And he is looking forward to the Armageddon Sahil. And Pawn takes this game, I think, is going down to the wire. And it was our featured clash for a reason.
Absolutely. Time is dead equal. I was wondering, why not rook takes a7, but there is simply c5, and you can bid goodbye to your rook there as well. So no free pawns today for anyone. And now I think it's time for white to quickly castle. There are some discover attacks on the knight as well. Also c5, rook d8, gaining more tempi on the white queen. So as of an Aradhya, doing pretty well.
Yeah, for sure. And he has more time than his opponent. Kudos to him for maintaining that. And yeah, develop the knight. Ignore the pawns, ignore material. Remember, Aradhya just needs a draw. It's kind of like he's playing a mini Armageddon style of sorts, where a draw is enough for him, but he just has to stay aware and be alert on the clock.
Yeah, and he's very good at these qualifiers. Remember, he even won a qualifier and qualified to like a very, very
Mhm.
strong event, online event earlier. So he is known to strike in the crunch moments. And right now, he's doing that against the top seed of the tournament. So meanwhile, checking the Vaxuyo game, where we see Rook takes c4 on the
Ooh.
board. Very interesting position. A5 pawn. Is it a strength or a weakness, Rakesh? I'm not completely convinced either way.
Me neither. I'm just looking very at the clock and I'm very worried for Harshal Patil. 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes down against the stronger title player. But Harshal has one thing going for him, Sahil, that he's won game one and a draw is enough to advance.
Yeah, and as we talked about that A5 pawn, it's already time to, say goodbye again. And Black can just chop off that pawn already. So, very interesting position. Vaxuyog with a golden opportunity to strike back. But of course, Harshal should be the one with the smiles because he still leads by 1 point. So, very interesting battle. By the way, we have the first result for today, and it
Ah.
is Grandmaster Diptyan Ghosh crushing his very, very strong opponent, FM Isuru Alahakun, 2-0. Rakesh, 2-0. That's a dominant performance.
Yeah, that's a great performance. And Deeptan Ghosh, congratulations. He's our first winner of today, and he will be joining us on 10th of October for the Knockout Challengers, where he'll try to book his seat to Mumbai. And, he was living in Mumbai for a couple of years. So there is a sign. And congrats to Deeptan and good luck.
Yeah, so one Grandmaster had made it through. Will the second one maintain his chances? By the way, Queen takes
Uh-oh.
c5. As of now,
Uh-oh.
I think Aradhya Garg is kind of,
Sahil,
you
the
know,
threat is, let's say you make an escape square. Can we come back a
yeah,
second? If you make an
yeah.
escape square or a relaxing move, knight d3, boom! That's an
Do you
amazing
mean, do you mean in
discovery.
this position?
So queen takes e5, white
Ha,
just relaxes and plays pawn to h3.
ha,
And then black was threatening knight to d3 with a
yeah.
family fork and was GG. So Mitrabha has to be alert, Sahil. Has to be alert.
And also, I think there were some back rank issues. Yeah. For example, white plays queen a3. And now I think, for example, black plays h6. You start moving the knight to grab this. Suddenly,
Oh,
queen takes d4, sacking the queen, and it's actually checkmate. So, a lot of tactics in the air. Knight e6 instead, the best move. Rook c4, c5. And now white gives his king some breathing space. And this is the live position. Still, Aradhya Garg in the driver's seat.
yeah, Arada definitely the heavy favorite here. Looks like he's played it very smartly, Sahil. He's not been under time pressure and he's played active chess. So for even maybe our women's players who are watching or the under 21s, this is a very nice thing that you can pick up from that Aradhya is doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's this tendency to kind of go for the draw when you're leading, and that, as we know, can backfire. So just taking the challenge to your opponent, even when you kind of need a draw, just throws your opponent off a bit sometimes. And that's exactly what Radhya is doing. He's confident, by the way, queen b2, basically saying either you trade queens and your winning chances evaporate, or then I
Mhm.
show you winning chances, but from the other side. So that's an offer which White would love to refuse, but he can't.
I think it's a very tough move. You probably have to take and then try to play against these weak back black pawns. But look at Mitrama. He is calculating at 100 miles per hour, but he can't really figure out the best way. And remember, he does not just have to put pressure, but he has to win. He's in a must-win
Yeah.
situation, Sahil.
Very difficult to win this. Imagine White wins 3 pawns for one. Just imagine that. Even
Mhm.
in that case, that endgame with 4 versus 3 on the
What?
king side will not be easy. I think maybe there was maybe uh, I don't know.
Where did he
But
go? Where did Mitrama go for a second? He
maybe there
got a
was a
pillow.
doorbell that rang or something. Maybe he wanted a lucky pillow. Yeah, we know chess
Yeah,
players who
yeah.
can be superstitious.
Of course, he grabs his lucky pillow and he has 1 minute 54 seconds. Wow, Sahil. I think this game is going down to the wire.
Yeah, and queen takes b2 has been played. Mitrava couldn't find an alternative, and now his best hope. Ooh, that does not inspire confidence, Rakesh, because I think the b3 pawn was essential to White's winning chances. Now I think this is just going to be a draw.
Aradhya looking really confident. Let's have a quick check-in at Harshal Patel versus Suyog Wag because Sahil, that both players have just 1 minute and Harshal Patel might be winning his second game after this family fork.
Wow, and look at knight b8, literally sitting in the heart of your opponent's camp. Yeah, the starting position.
Mhm.
Rook is like, hey, brother knight, you came back. Wait, that's not the brother I know. That's the white knight. How? And this is not looking great for
Ooh.
Wak Suyok, who's potentially about to lose 2-0 to Harshal Patel, who's going to have a big smile on his face pretty soon.
Yeah, and Harshal going for it. And now you have to protect the f3 pawn. What?
Oh, blunders.
Yeah, but
But
this is what
wait.
he's saying to his chat. A draw is enough
Uh,
for me. That is what he's
yeah.
telling his chat. So you're down to 50 seconds.
Yeah, this is tough. This is tough. He's attacking the rook now. So basically, if queen f3, he's going to take the rook. And then there is some repetition for black, but that's just going to be a draw. So it feels like with 30, oh, black does take it though, Rakesh. I think time could be a major factor. Brilliancy, but look at the clock.
Yeah, queen takes a6, knight e4, some mating attack, checkmate in one threats, knight f2 check threats. That's the repetition, I think. Queen takes
Yeah,
rook, knight e4, rook g1, and knight f2. That's the draw. And oh, Harshal is thinking, brother, 30 seconds.
he needs
Yeah.
to play
And Suyog
quickly.
shrugs his shoulders. It's a draw.
Wow.
It's a
So now
draw.
question for you, Rakesh. I think black has to play on. I think black
Black
has
has
to
to
play
play
on,
on.
right? Black has to give checks and hope he wins on the clock, and he can win on the clock. Why is he thinking?
I don't I mean, look at how I think Harshal is extremely he's excited, he's animated. They go for the repetition there, Sahil, and Harshal is like, man, oh man, what? He
Yeah, he
blundered.
has to play on, right? He has to play on, Rakesh. Yeah, he has to play on,
Wow.
right? A draw is
Yeah, he
lost for
has
him,
to.
Rakesh.
It's the same, correct. It makes sense, Sahil, and looks like Harshal Patil is moving on. He is excited. He is telling his chat, I just beat FIDE Master Suyog Wag 2-0 as it looks like, Sahil, and he qualifies
Wow.
Wow.
What a finish by
Let's come back.
Harshal
Let's come back,
Patil.
Sahil. Let's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Harshal, congrats. But let's come back to Aradhya versus Mitrava. Aradhya winning again.
Wow. I think Mitra Guha's face says it all. He's shocked as we are, crushing a stronger player 2-0, especially a strong grandmaster. And we have tennis, somebody is better on clay, somebody is better on grass, and kind of defeating in their strong point, right? In their strength. It just gives you extra pleasure there.
Yeah, just 25 seconds. I think any repetition, Aradhya will welcome it with both arms. Just 25 seconds for Mitrabha. I think Sahil looks
Oh,
like GG.
wow. Beautiful.
Ooh,
Knight H4, and it is resigns, I think, for Mitra Guha, who is going to go home, unfortunately. And Aradhya Garg, a crushing victory there and a stamp of authority. You know what? I am a strong contender to win this entire thing and qualify for my dream.
absolutely. And it's been a one-sided traffic here completely. I think Aradhya got completely deserved this, Sahil, over the two games. And you know what you wanted? An Armageddon. Looks like we'll be getting that in Fateh versus Alok Sinha, as Fateh has just made an epic comeback win now.
So only one Armageddon, yeah, at the end. So it wasn't that close. Let's just put it that way. But that will
Mhm.
be an exciting Armageddon nonetheless. But meanwhile, we see 45 seconds for Black. But I think that is more than sufficient time. It is checkmate in two, and White doesn't even have a check. It is time to resign. And yeah, Aradhya, what a
Yeah.
dominant performance.
And the favorite of the tournament, the person who was most likely to come to Mumbai, Mitra Baghua, has been eliminated. Congrats to Aradhya Garg who qualifies for the next stage. And Sahil, what an epic match this has been.
Absolutely. And the matches continue because three games have ended. Let's kind of finalize the winners. First of all, Aradhya crushing the strong Grandmaster Mithaba Guha 2-0. Then we had Diptyan Ghosh defeat Isuru 2-0. Then we had Vak Suyok lose to Harshal Patil. Another slight upset, if you can call it. But regardless, 2-0, definitely a strong performance. But one match ended one each. And now we're going to have a tiebreak. Rakesh, who's your favorite here?
Ooh, I think Uh, Alok Sinha will be my favorite to go through, but Fateh, I think kudos to him, like the way he made a comeback. In fact, Sahil, the only person who made a comeback today
Yeah,
has
yeah,
been
yeah.
Fateh. So kudos to him. And overall, I would say two upsets where Aradhya won against the GM and Harshal beat Suyogwa. So I think somebody, apart from these two players and their families, the think tank of the GCL will also be very, very happy because they have given the chances to the correct players as it looks like.
Absolutely. I think that's the purpose of the event to give the underdogs a chance to qualify for their dream. And that's exactly what's happening right now. So, as you were tie breaks, I think both players will be making a bid. And the player who makes the bid with less time gets black, but he will have draws. And Rakesh, we saw a very exciting bid yesterday. That was 5 minutes, which was
Oh yeah.
borderline ridiculous if you consider, how much time that is at half the time. Do you expect something like that again, or do you think we'll see like 8 minutes or something more normal?
I think something like 7.5 to 8 minutes because I'm pretty sure all the players are also tuning into the stream and watching how the other categories are playing. So they will have an eye out and they're definitely checking in, what's the right method, how much time to bid, and so on. So I think nobody is going to go down as low as 5 minutes, to be honest.
Yeah. As you wait for the games, we will let you know the bids by both players. Players are also waiting, as you can see on the cameras. Rakesh, I think today we have the battle of the winners. We saw how there were some one-sided games yesterday. Today it's going to be very, very close.
Mhm.
Um, we saw in total, I think, four Armageddons yesterday, if I'm not mistaken.
Thr- 3 or 4, I think.
Three or four, right? How
Yeah.
many do you expect today in total among all the
I think the
sections?
same. I think the same because the number of games have been halved, but
Huh.
the strength of the players is more evenly matched. So I would say
Yeah.
one in each category, so three again. By the way, I would really like to mention the very generous and huge prize fund given out by the Tech Mahindra GCL team of $30,000 for the contenders. That's a
Wow.
huge sum of money. And the players who win today in the men's section and women's section are guaranteed $350, Sahil. That is
That's
huge. And the main prize, the mega prize, is 7,500 in the men's section. But more importantly, a priceless VIP invite to Mumbai, where you'll be part of the third edition of the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League.
Yeah, reminds me of that meme, yeah, जब देने वाला देता है, देता चप्पड़ फाड़ के, you get everything. You get to, go to Mumbai, play in that strong, GCL tournament with your stars, with the stars right next to them, and you also get an amazing prize. So let's see. That's why you see the serious faces on the cameras, players waiting for the game to begin. 7 minutes is what the black player will have right now, but he
Oh,
will
okay.
have draw odds and e4 on the board.
So Alok Sinha playing white, Fatih Jallikal playing black. Alok has 10 minutes, Fateh has 7 minutes, but in case of a draw, Fateh moves on.
Yeah, and a very nice move order, knight c3 and then knight f3. So black has the option of
Oh.
stopping this with e5, but he doesn't. So we've transposed into something a bit more normal. Maybe now bishop g5, maybe bishop c4, e6, and we are into the setup which one famous player really loved, Rakesh. I mean, what was the, I forgot the name. What was the name again, Rakesh? Like Fisher something?
Yeah, some Bobby, Robert, something
Bobby
like
Fisher
that.
something. Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I think a very interesting choice by Fateh. He just needs a draw, but he says, I'm going to play my natural game. I don't care about the Armageddon. It's just another game. But Sahil, would you have played the Sicilian in an Armageddon as black?
I think if that's my main weapon, that's the opening I really play the most, then yes, I just want to
Uh-huh.
play something I'm comfortable with. But if I have the flexibility, I have a lot of opening choices, then maybe I might go for 1e5. So ideal might have been 1e5, but maybe black just feels more comfortable, like MVL, right? MVL loves the knight off, so he will play it regardless of the event or the time situation or the stakes. So similar here, I think black probably felt comfortable with 1c5 and now b5 on the board, trying to create that attack on the queen side. White is saying you can push these pawns all you want. I am after your king. F5 maybe at the correct moment. Rooks could come in, and the bishop is pointed in the right direction.
Absolutely, Sahil. And kudos to Alok. He's playing fast on the clock. He's going to put pressure on Fateh on the clock as well. Just 6 minutes left. And remember, it doesn't matter how you win, Sahil, over the board or on the clock, a win is a win.
And black being very cheeky. Okay, knight h5, queen f3, knight f6. I think this is the draw now. Clearly, we have no better option, so we can go home. But White says, no, not just yet. I have
Of
one piece not
course.
even developed, so I'm going to put it on d1. No draw for you.
Yeah, and not even going for the double repetition. You don't want to lose out on this
Yeah.
spot. And overall, Sahil, since we have figured that every, like, the qualifier from today will be getting a minimum, that is the minimum of $350. Sahil, this is like almost a very important match now.
Yeah. And e5, you know what? I am not surprised that's a mistake because, first of all, you allow knight f5. Obviously, as we
Mhm.
discussed yesterday, that's a very strong piece. But more importantly, look at that bishop. You can't see it smiling, but if you zoom in, if you have that strong camera, if you zoom in, you will see that smile on his face, Rakesh. You see that smile, yeah, half smile.
Yeah, of course. And the other bishop also says hello from the other side. And the bishop on b3, it's like a sniper. You know, from far off, it can really come in and cause damage. But knight e5 played, queen is attacked, queen can maybe slide across. Yes, it does. And Sahil, Alok Sinha smartly maintaining the 3 minute time advantage as all from the start.
Yeah, and black luckily has now knight c4, so you can block that strong bishop. That's a nice move to
Mhm.
play. And you also attack b2, so it throws a spanner in the works, and white's plan suddenly, has some counter resistance. So let's play knight c4 quickly. If you are black here, you do not want to waste time. Rook e8 is kind of a nothing move, and maybe knight d5 now. just kind of cementing that bishop on d5 could be a nice try. Let's see how white challenges it. And as you mentioned, that 3-minute difference still exists. So white, the clear favorite so far.
I love this style. I think the idea is to remove the obstacle and then plant your knight on d5 against that bad bishop and against the d6 pawn. So he's going for your idea, but just in a different style.
Yeah, and black says, you know what, I'm going to defend my brother here. So if you take, I take with the knight now, but I do have queen g3 and h3. And somehow these
Uh-oh.
knights could be just hanging in thin air.
Uh-oh. Queen g3. If he finds that, I think Alok Sinha will be punching his ticket to the next stage. Rook d4, similar idea. He wants to capture the knight. Rook takes
Oh, this
g4.
is wow.
Wow.
H5, the only move in the position. Everything else was dead lost. And black finds it with no time. No time. Literally, he used like 5.6 seconds for this move. And suddenly he's back in the game.
Yeah, Fateh is back in the game, and these two strong players are giving us an absolute delight. They're clearly a well-deserved Armageddon, and I think the winner of this match is going to be a very, very well-deserving winner because both these players, Sahil, have given it their all.
Yeah, and the time difference reducing by the second, less than 2. Oh, that's a big mistake by the white player. I think he wanted to grab that h5 pawn, but now after bishop f6, I don't see why I can't just attack your rook, take on c3 and
What?
oh my
Why?
God, this is just nerves, Rakesh. Yeah, just nerves.
Oh,
Bishop f6 looked so strong, but he didn't want to give the h5 pawn. That h5 pawn is it's you can't give that away if you kind of break through on the queen side. It's
and you know
not
what?
as
Rook
important.
H. Ooh, white also
Yeah.
misses that. He wants to get this bishop active, and somehow the game is revolving against that h5 pawn, Sahil.
Yeah. Sometimes you have like the employee of the month, yeah. But usually maybe they've not done enough work. This is get it somehow because of the rotation, and that's the h5 pawn right now. It looks very important, but it isn't actually. And now white can take it anyway. So what was the point of fighting for it? So the opposite color bishop, we saw this in the previous game. Will be very, very important who can create an attack. The first one to create attacking chances might win this game outright.
Absolutely. But on that note, Sahil, I like queen takes h5. In case you capture my pawn on the left side of the board, I drop my rook back to d3 and swing it across for a checkmating attack.
Yeah, deadly maneuver indeed. So let's see what happens. The bishop on b3 doing a great job of defending that c2 pawn. So the black queen cannot enter the game. White does have some back rank issues, but the queen h5 played on the board. White putting the pressure.
Yeah, and rook e4, he wants to kind of trap that black queen or take control of the h file, and suddenly games and the blunders are going to come up, Sahil. I just feel it. It's the nerves. $350 and a seat at the knockout challengers at stake. So I think we are in for a treat, Sahil.
And imagine rook h4 and then bishop e5, and suddenly things are
Uh-oh.
converging on the white king. So this could turn around totally. A very interesting position. White finds the best idea, opening up the bishop. Let's not block our star piece. And now rook h4, I think I drop my queen back. And then I start to use the e file, maybe attack d6, maybe attack f7, and white still slightly better, let's say.
Yeah, for sure. White slightly better, but Sahil, you have to win the game. Slightly better isn't good enough because you have to win in that Armageddon as white. I think Fateh is praying for the draw. He might even push the pawn to d5, Sahil. In case you go pawn grabbing, queen h2,
Hmm.
checkmate. Surprise, surprise.
You have to be careful. D5, and if you try to grab this, there is the surprise checkmate on h2. So black's pieces have their own agenda here in this game. So let's see which player strikes first. Meanwhile, black taking a lot of time. Rakesh, he has to play quickly. There's still a more than a 2-minute difference. That's a deadly difference. If you just remove a couple of minutes, black could be just dead lost.
Absolutely, silent. This is a no increment format. So Armageddon with no increment is very serious, and he moves the rook around trying to activate his pieces. Remember, material does not convert. White is playing like almost he's a piece up, Sahil.
Absolutely. Bishop d5. Now look at that strong piece defending the king, defending the queen side, attacking the queen side, attacking the king side. Just an absolute beast. And the bishop on f6 is actually blocked by its own rook. So I love White's position now. I love the time on the clock he has. And things are looking great for RD64 here.
Yeah, Alok Sinha, Adi 64 Bond, and it is James Bond's day today. So he might be celebrating in style. Offers the trade of rooks. Fateh declines it, Sahil.
And look at the rook on h4, yeah? And if I just take and play g3, where are you moving the rook exactly? Are you going to a4?
No
Are you
way, no
going to
way.
h6? Like it feels like the rook on h4 is just a showpiece here. Yeah, you put it just like this whatever behind me right now. Like it's just like a showpiece on the board, not having a real purpose.
Yeah, and White doubles his rooks on the e file, saying, I won't capture, you capture so that my rook comes to a better square. Almost a 2.5 minute difference. And I think, Sahil, in the Armageddon, the clock is going to tell the tale.
Yeah, bishop e5. Now h2 is
G3?
hanging. Just g3, very safe. Don't play h3 though. I think then suddenly that gives black some dark square. Yeah, g3, nice move, attacking the rook. Rook has to move back. We now king g2, playing it very safe. And just compare the bishops. The white bishop putting pressure on f7, more dominant, and can support the queen and the rook. The black bishop not as strong just yet because the rook is absolutely not happy with the position.
Yeah, true. It's looking like more and more chances of going through will be for Alok Sinha here, Sahil.
Bishop a2, although a very weird move. I thought the bishop was well placed on
Yeah,
d5.
yeah.
And
Oh,
queen
checkmate in one
so
threatened. Checkmate in one threatened.
we've seen it work. We've seen it work yesterday. So you never know. Okay, blocks
Okay.
it. Check, king g2, very safe.
Under 2 minutes now for Fateh.
Maybe rook f6. Threatening ideas like rook takes f5. If you take, I pick up the rook.
Has to go. That's a great idea, Sahil. I think White has to play that. Otherwise, it's going to be too little, too late.
Ooh, that's
Bishop
not a.
f7.
I
Bishop
think that is
g6
over.
check and queen 8. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's over now. I think that's basically the game.
And the match and the last
Yeah.
seat for the knockout challengers in the road to GCL for Fateh. I
Yeah.
think Fateh is down and out. Bishop g6 check. It's GG style. No.
Yep. One check and it'll be over. Queen b7 looking very safe. The black queen controls the 8th square for now. So Queen b7 played on the board, and I
Wow.
think it is time to resign. And RD64 is going to the next round.
Yeah, Fateh shakes his head. He knows he gives up his rook. Too little, too late. Still, there's no way to stop the checkmate. But he might play on for a few moves, but the result very much decided.
Yep. We couldn't get the king from here, but we have a separate path. Oh, Queen f7 also very smooth, actually. Beautiful play. Threatening Queen h5. I think it's time to resign.
Yeah, it is time to resign as we see Alok Sinha breaking out a smile, grabbing the $350 and the last seat to the knockout challengers. We'll see you next week, Alok. Very well done. Congratulations, GG to Fateh. And with that, Sahil, we have our four qualifiers into the knockout challengers. Big chat, join us in saying big congratulations to Deepta Ghosh, Aradhya Garg, Alok Sinha, and Harshal Patil.
Yeah, and that's not the end. We still have the women's section and the prodigy section. So as you can see, the moves being played out. Just in a few minutes, we're gonna have the women's section start, Rakesh, and maybe it is time to take a very, 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 very short break and be back on the other side. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are back with the women's section of day number 2 of the knockout, and we can see already the games are ready to go. Welcome back, Rakesh. We saw some exciting games, one Armageddon in the open section, and now we are here for the women's section. And for some reason, I can see we'll be back on the chessboard. I don't know if we can remove that. Now that's been removed. Welcome, Rakesh. Bye.
Welcome back, everyone. The men's section was an absolute delight. We found our 4 players who will play the knockout challenges next week. But Sahil, which 4 women players would do it? Let's have a look at the pairings before the games start quickly.
Yeah, first of all, we have Angel against Hannah. I remember Angel was, the first one to win yesterday, had a dominant performance. Let's see
Yeah.
how that turns out. We have Dazzle against Rucha. We have Mitra against Katharina. And we have Fafakantic against JC February. So let's start with game number 1. That is Dazzle underscore 06 against Rucha Pujari. So very interesting battle. We couldn't see Rucha's game yesterday. So let's start with that one today. And a nice choice. The same opening that we saw, I think, in the India USA match as well. A very interesting choice by both players.
Yeah, lots of players drawing inspiration from the India USA match, Sahil, and you see Rucha streaming here, and she won very easily yesterday as her opponent didn't show up yesterday, but she was watching our stream along with her, like on her stream with a watch party. So nice to have her, and hopefully she makes it through, Sahil.
Yeah, and Bishop E7 back. Not usually what you play. I think we had a game between Levy and Sagar today in the
Mhm.
exact same position. I think Bishop C5 was the choice there by Sagar, if I'm
Yep.
not mistaken. So Bishop E7, another choice. It's a bit passive, but it's also a bit, you're trying to control some important squares, castle quickly, and hope for the best. So that's why you see White thinking, okay, I've not seen Bishop E7 before. What's my best weapon against this idea?
And you see a Dazzle 06 who dazzled us with her chess. That is Tanishka Kotia.
We can see
She
some
is
chats there.
playing.
प्रोड्यूसर साहब भाई ध्यान से कुछ दिख जाता उधर ध्यान से भाई and yeah, Bishop E7 now. So as White calculates, let's do the game of Mitra against Katarina. So Rakesh, we saw that crazy matchup between Mitra and weak player 2011 yesterday. I think that was probably the
Mhm.
battle of the day for me. And right now, Mitra is back in action. She's a minute ahead. I think that battle will give her a lot of confidence, although her opponent will not make it easy.
Yeah, Mitra, who blundered a whole rook yesterday, but also checkmated in one. So she had a mixed bag of a day yesterday, but today I think she's going to be more focused, more locked in, and Sahil, the heavy favorite to beat Katharina Renneke of Germany.
Absolutely. Look at the ratings 2191 versus 1813. Look at the clock 9.5 minutes versus 7.5 minutes. Now, Rook D1, just spinning that pawn, and White will get an isolated pawn. So, Rook D1, Bishop E7, let's say, E takes D4. I will have this one pawn in the center, which cannot be defended by any other pawn. So, it's kind of weak, but it also gives me more space. So, I can use it to attack my opponents. So very, very interesting setup. Now Bishop E7, the most logical move, but Black is taking a lot of time to play these moves. He has to play quickly here.
Somebody else who's playing it very quickly, Sahil, is Fafa Kantik, Jesse February's opponent, and Jesse is completely winning.
Wow, already. I think that's
Mhm.
insane. Although I think maybe she is the stronger player, so that makes sense. And the position is quite complicated. And White played Queen D2 here, which is an awkward move to block their own bishop, and then also played F4, and that feels like a positionally dubious move because you're giving up that important E4 square. Both your pawns have moved, and none of them can control E4. And no wonder I think Jesse has a winning position. And you look at E4, C4, all these squares very weak.
Yeah, I think Jessie, the heavy favorite, former African women's world champion, women's champion there. I think she is going to go through in this. Bishop takes A3, Sahil. You don't like that capture, but Jessie gets a pawn.
gets a pawn, attacks another, also threatens b4 in some cases to, attack that bishop again after knight c6. So I love that move. And white is so far away from castling that it's very hard to imagine, using that bishop in any attacking style. Yeah, now you see queen c3 happening, the queen trades will happen, and then it should be pretty smooth sailing for Jesse here. So going back to the game of Angel against Hannah, we saw how is it the London system? I thought so, yeah. Queen b6. And this is a very interesting line. White has just sacked a pawn, and the black queen has made 1, 2, 3, and maybe even 4 moves, doing absolutely nothing but just to grab a pawn. I love White's position here, and Angel, I think, has the advantage.
Yeah, for sure. I think Hannah, who is the slight underdog here, has to come up and start developing her pieces. Otherwise, White is going to be very, very happy with her position and great compensation for the sacrificed pawn.
Absolutely. Knight c7, a huge threat. Actually, that would be if you play h6. Knight c7 loses the queen. It's that bad, yeah? You have to give the queen to kind of save the position. So that's why instead of h6, knight a6, a better move, controlling c7. But that's not where the knight wanted to go because it's in the corner. And this means the knight will be stuck there forever. Usually you want to kick the knight with a6. Now you can't play that.
Yeah, looks tough here. I feel Sahil. It should be easy sailing for White and for Angel because you yourself, a big London expert, I think you will be relishing the opportunity to play with the white pieces here.
Yeah, and White is still on the clock as well. So going to our next game again, that is Dazzle against Rucha. Very interesting setup because White seems to have the bishop pair, seems to have an advanced pawn, but somehow she's probably going to lose all of those advantages one by one. And Rucha maybe also has bishop g5 incoming at the right moment. And I kind of like her position, especially because of the clock. Look at the 3-minute time difference here.
Yeah, and knight d5, great move. Asking that bishop a very important question: where are you going to go, buddy? Otherwise, once black captures it, it's going to be very tough. And yes, Rucha, a time trouble addict herself, Sahil, but here she's 3 minutes ahead.
Ooh, this is difficult. Knight c4. If you take, I will take with the knight and defend my pawn again. So pragmatic move by White here, but I think Black is so far ahead of the clock that she has to be the favorite. You can see her very calm, very composed. I guess she's also streaming this, Rakesh. I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think Rucha is streaming this. She, in fact, also did a watch party yesterday and also saw our stream. So, yeah,
By
I
the
think.
way, we are going to have the first result, and it is none other than Mitra here. Look at the position. This was the
What?
position. Yeah, and the isolated pawn doing wonders. Bishop g5, bishop h4, d5 breaking in the center. You take, I take with the knight. I'm threatening so many things, and black plays g5. Rakesh, I think we have to do it. We have to do it. This is not the time to be, no time for caution, Rakesh. Interstellar music in the background. We have to take on g5. Knight
Oh,
takes, pawn takes, bishop takes, and this is gonna end very, very quickly.
yeah, and the cover is blown open for black here, and just the pin on the f6 knight. It looks absolutely over. Has Mitra played it yet?
No, I think
No, I
she
think
wants to be
she's.
sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
But she looks like she's. Oh, she doesn't. I am
What?
genuinely shocked. She did not play that move because it was so natural. I think the black pieces were so stuck. Ooh, maybe the yesterday game still kind of, playing on her mind a little bit. And now White is better, but it's no longer completely winning.
Yeah, I think it's like a whole different game now, Sahil, and because you have threats like bishop takes pawn, and if you could have Katrina's camera as well, this is Anna above us, so if you could see
Yeah.
Katrina's reactions also, because I think Sahil, she dodged a bullet here.
Yeah, and now, of course, bishop c6 is in the air to attack the queen. So queen f6 also defends the king side, played on the board. So Katerina maybe is having a comeback here. And we saw Mitra did lose one game yesterday, so anything can happen. Now, suddenly the Black King is much safer. The rooks are coming into the game. So, huge comeback potentially for Katarina here.
Yeah, she is also streaming this and she was completely lost had Mitra taken that. But this is like a second chance, a second life that Katharina has gotten. Sahil, do you reckon she can turn it around?
I think she absolutely can. Look at the bar already dropping a lot
Hmm.
more. Meanwhile, we are potentially going to have her first result pretty soon, and that is no surprises there. Jessie February is just dominating the game. She's gobbled up a lot of white pawns. What? How many? One, two, three, four extra pawns for black. No counterplay whatsoever. The fifth one about to fall, and I think we're going to see resignation pretty soon. She's not. You can't see that happiness on her face because she knows the job is only half done, but it is pretty well done. Let's just put it that way.
Exactly. Very well put, Sahil. And in case you're joining us, this is the women's section of the title challengers here. Sorry, the title knockout year. And this is round two. Players who win today are guaranteed $350 and move to the knockout challengers. That is the road to GCL, and a dream ticket to Mumbai awaits, Sahil. While we might see an epic checkmate of some sorts with Rook 8 and B5.
True. And I think also F5 maybe could be very nice.
Oh,
B5
yeah.
also very nice. As you mentioned, some ideas there. So lots of tactical ideas. Could be a beautiful finish. Meanwhile, I think this game is about to finish anyways. Let's jump to the game of Dazzle against Rucha Pujari, where apparently White has just blundered. She had to find G3 to remove that threat. And after Rook Fe1, D5, suddenly things are falling apart. If, for example, knight to a3, you move away, knight to e5, and goodbye, checkmate.
Uh-oh.
It's over.
Uh-oh. This has not gone well for White at all. And I think uh, Tanishka is completely lost here. Rucha showing why she's the stronger player. And I think she's dominated from start to finish here, Sai.
Yeah, you can see her smile on her face. She can't believe she missed that actually. Yeah, she was like in shock. Okay, how did I miss that? And the knight, unfortunately,
Yeah.
has no good squares. The queen has too much to do. She needs to defend the checkmate on g2, and she also needs to defend the bishop. And knight e5 is simply a fork. You can no longer do both. You can play queen g3, takes, let's say takes, and knight takes e3, and that is a free piece. And Rucha is going to win the game.
And can we quickly go to Jesse's game because I can see a checkmate and one incoming, Sahil. So 95 year played by
Oh
Rucha. And
wow,
let's see. Yeah, okay. This game. Ooh, very nice check.
nice.
Very nice check there. She's going to get a new queen once she
Yeah.
captures the rook. And yeah, I think Jesse completely winning, Sahil.
Let's
Rucha
just
completely winning.
Why not F5? I
Uh,
mean, you want stalemate chances, right? Why should play F5 at the
for
I mean,
sure,
that's
for
the hope
sure.
you have.
And
But
by the way,
yeah.
Rucha has won. She is the first player to win as Dazzle Tanishka resigns. And it's
Ooh,
all
she
over,
gets
Sahil.
mated
Checkmate on the
actually.
board.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she played
yeah.
queen. She missed the mate in one. Maybe that's why you saw that smile on her face. She just missed queen g2 for a moment. That, lapse of concentration, even for a second, can cost you the entire game. Meanwhile, also Jesse has also won her game. So that's a beautiful checkmate on a7. So two results so far. Let's go to the game of Mirza again, Katrina, where Mirza is again, Mitra, sorry, is again better. And now you can see the Black King is still weak, but now White is also playing in the center and also on the queen side.
Yeah, I think this game, has seen its ups and downs, but finally, we the engine is bang in the middle, and I feel, Sahil, there might be some chances for both players here because we're going under that 3 minute benchmark where blunders galore.
So, Rakesh, I'm going to ask you that question, that dreaded question. How many tie breaks do we see in the women's section?
um, I think zero would be my prediction.
Yeah. Even I'm banking on zero. I think we can see that one player is dominating the battle, even though the results, the games have lasted long. I think we can see one player in
Yeah.
control. In this game, it's been, for example, Mitra. We saw Rucha dominating. We also saw, Jesse dominating. So I think one player clearly has been in control. And now Queen E4 incoming. Yeah, Rook F5 in the air. Rook A5 a threat because the Rook is also hanging. There doesn't seem to be a clear defense here, Rakesh.
Yeah, and Katrina just has 2 minutes, Sahil. That's not easy when you're defending against a strong title player. It's going to be a miracle for Katrina to turn this around.
Yeah, and she's there on the clock, plays rook c8, but the problem is rook d6. And somehow b6 is, of course, right now it's defended, but it's under pressure. And h6 will be under attack. So, and if you drop the queen to g7, then guess what? I have rook d8 check.
Uh-oh.
Now, and after takes,
Uh-oh.
takes, I mean, you can't come anywhere. There is no defense. Queen f8. So you will lose the queen at the very least. And that should be game over. So the current position is very tough. Although she plays rook f5, not rook d6, and black still holding on by that thin thread.
Yeah, I think it's rook e5. I would like to keep both the rooks on the board as Black's king is inactive. Oh, is weak at knight g5 in the air, Sahil. Big
Absolutely in the
tactic.
air. Although she didn't do it earlier, Rakesh, so I'm a bit hesitant,
Yeah.
but maybe this time it's a bit clearer, yeah?
Yeah, Katrina has to be worried about that move. Her king is absolutely out in the open. She has to take care of that under 90 seconds now.
Tough this one. Black's best move would be pushing that pawn back to g7, but you can't do that, unfortunately. The laws of the game do not allow it. And look at the knight on a5. Absolutely no play in the game. Yeah, the knight, imagine it's sitting on g6 or f6 or some good square on the king side, could be playing a real role in this game. But right now, it's just, oh, that feels risky to say the least.
I mean, it is just going to be GG's now, Sahil. Rook leaves the back rank. White is going to come in and give him a check. With that, can we have a quick look at Hannah's game as well? Because it looks like Sahil, after a tough game, she's busted.
Ooh, although this one is still going on, I can see how
Yeah.
there are so many pins, right? All these pins creating havoc in the position. I mean, bishop c4 is incoming. If you move the rook back, then I take on d6. I mean, that should be resigns, everything falling apart. So I think Hannah in huge trouble and the clock situation not really helping at all.
Not helping at all. I think Angel is going to get the W here. And I see the other games have also started, like game two of Jesse and Rucha have started, Sahil.
And already Jessie in a great position, castling queenside. Although I
Yeah,
think Black has her own chances. Ooh, Bishop e4, allowing f5. That was a dubious move.
not good at all. And I think, Sahil, this rook on E1 is going to planning to say hello to the king, but black has just enough time to consolidate everything and push the pawns to f4.
Yeah, White needs to open up this file. That is where the skill, the real attack for White lies. So let's see how she does that. Meanwhile, going back to the Angel game, I think Bishop c4, d5 was played, but that's not helping matters. Just Bishop takes d5, Queen e7, and this just feels like it's over. I think maybe c6 could be in the air. You could just take the rook as well. You could even start playing knight a5 ideas, just moving forward. Very, very comfortable advantage. And also, I think not to forget Mitra against Katerina. I think this
It's
is the
over.
current position. Also about to end.
Yeah, it's just about to end. I think knight h4 and most like, yeah, this is about to end, Sahil.
28 seconds for Katerina and 96. I think it's mating too. It's over, yeah?
Yeah. GG's.
Yep.
And
Hard luck
Mitra,
for
the tournament favorite, winning, Sahil.
absolutely, and hard luck for Katrina there, but she has a chance to strike back. You can see she's not happy at missing
Yeah.
checkmate in two, but we'll be back to this game. Going to the Angel game right now, Rakesh, the first game in this matchup going on. Bishop takes b3 has just happened. Let's take with the queen back and just put pressure on that f7 point. I think this looks extremely dangerous for the black pieces.
Yeah, extremely dangerous. Rook d7 checkmate. Incoming with queen takes f7. Just a little over 90 seconds for Hannah. And this is Indonesia versus Australia. Truly the Global Chess League qualifier here, Sahil. What are your predictions? Do you think Hannah can make a comeback or Angel has it through?
I think this rook is the problem. If this rook finds a way in without giving any more concessions, I think she has a chance. As of now, imagine if you could jump over the knight and bring the rook to f8, I think you could have a better defensive chance. I mean, if the queen has to go to f8, that's not a good sign, Rakesh. Rook b d1 now. I think it's very unlikely Hannah comes back.
Played.
She's also behind the clock.
Yeah, yeah, things are not looking good for Hannah here, and I think Hannah is streaming the event as well to her followers, so clearly helping us in growing the game. But Rook takes pawn will not be received well by her fans.
Yeah, and then forget about the material advantage, forget about the passive queen. I just have an extra pawn on the queen side. I'm going to push these pawns, make a new queen, and the game will be over. So 1 minute for Hannah, 2 minutes for Angel. Let's see what happens. Meanwhile, I'm trying to check if we have any updates. Oh, Dazzle underscore 06 apparently slightly better against Rucha.
Uh-huh.
So can she stage a comeback, Rakesh here?
For sure, I think she's played the opening very well and very quickly. It came from a King's Indian defense, but Rook B1, we see she's slightly better. Queen A5, nice move, hitting the knight, hitting the pawn in the corner, and I feel Dazzle here, Tanishka wants to really take the match into an Armageddon.
Yeah, Rucha feeling the pressure right now. I think Bishop D2 has to be played. And now if you take
Yeah.
on C3 and Bishop takes and try to go for the pawn, White is going to just play Rook B2. And at some point, hope for like a
Uh-oh.
deadly attack. So she's not going to feel that pawn any bit. So that's why Rook FC8, excellent move, not trying to, grab that pawn instantly, putting more pressure on the C5.
Yeah, I think just if you play Rook C8, black player, is playing really well. His focus is locked in, and I think Sahil Armageddon incoming in this match.
Wow, 3 minute difference. So Rucha will need to pull some sort of magic hat here to kind of turn the game around. Let's see what happens. Meanwhile, if you should look at the this game has just ended. So Angel takes the lead, 1-0 lead against Hannah, and Hannah will have to strike back in a must-win game. Also, the first game about to finish is likely going to be just a game where she is winning in the second game, and the Black King has nowhere to go.
Yeah, I think Jesse completely winning. King has only one square. If it comes up, the Rook is going to land on the seventh rank with a check. That's going to be GG's. That's all she wrote. And Jesse February will confirm her spot in the knockout challengers of the GCL.
Wow, yeah, you can almost see her celebrating just like Arjun. Yeah, I think they have something in common in how they celebrate. So beautiful conversion there. Bishop f4 now, Queen c7. That is one way to checkmate. You can also bring the rook in as she does. I think there is absolutely nothing to do. Rook d8 incoming, Rook d7 incoming, Queen d7 incoming. Lots of threats. I mean, White simply has an extra queen. It's time to resign.
Yeah, and maybe Sal, we can stick with this game because it gives us the winner
Yeah.
of the match, and would love to let our audience know as well that Jessie was in fact part of the commentary team in the first edition of the GCL. So nice to see her being associated as a player as well. And who knows, she might be in Mumbai not part of the commentary team, but in fact part of the playing squad there. So very well done, and I think well deserved win in both matches. And looks like Jesse's opponent is about to resign this one, Sahil. No way back possible for Black in this one.
Yeah. I think the Black player trying to grasp the gravity of the situation that she has
Mm.
nothing to do, no checks, nothing, absolutely nothing in the position, and it is time to resign. And it's always heartbreaking when your dreams come to an end. And but I think Bishop D5 blocking the rook's path. But I don't think she can block the bishop as well. Just Bishop F4, threatening checkmate with Queen C7, and there is no defense.
And we remember, Sal, yesterday we saw one of the players break down on camera. Just shows
Yeah.
what this important event means for them because they have put in their hard work, their blood, sweat, and tears really, really well. fought match throughout. But yeah, final touches here. King coming up. I think Bishop sees. Oh yeah, this is also a nice checkmate incoming.
Yep, I think this is taking a bit more time than she could have, but I think this is also completely winning. So
Yeah, yeah,
let's
yeah.
switch games.
Let's
Let's
switch.
go to Mitra against Katarina, where Mitra, all she needs is a draw here. But if you are in Katrina's shoes, you
Mhm.
have the exact kind of position you need. Absolutely crazy position, imbalance on the board. The pawn has moved to h5, d5 in the air, bishop g5 incoming. Black is at least two moves away from castling. So you have absolute mayhem on the board, and there's a good chance we'll have a winner in this game as well. And it could might as well be white. By the way, where does the queen go? Not an easy choice here, Rakesh.
Yeah, you don't want to drop back because the black pawn keeps harassing you with h4 or h3. So that's no good. And if you come, yeah, she goes queen g5. I think the most logical move in the position. But she has to watch out for bishop e7, queen takes
Yeah.
g7, and long castle.
Ooh, that was very interesting, actually. Maybe because f7 is hanging, it doesn't work right now, but a very
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
idea because rook g8, and you can see how both the pieces converging on g2 yet again. So rook d8 played though. So black says, I don't want to castle queen side. I maybe want to play knight d5, maybe want to just take on d4. And if you play bishop e3 to save this pawn, I even might have rook h6 and rook g6, Rakesh,
Oh,
just to kind of say hello to your white king.
absolutely. And a very important thing to note, Mitra with the lead. So she doesn't have to do anything crazy. Just normal chess, good enough chess. Get the draw because it doesn't matter if you win 2-0 or 1.5, 0.5. You just have to book your ticket to the knockout challengers and qualify for next week's event.
Yeah, meanwhile, as we see the second game definitely being more solid from all sides, let's jump to the game of
Yeah. Yeah.
Dazzle against Rucha. We can see this is where we left it. But after rook takes c8, knight c6, a nice move played by Rucha here, although she has no time on the clock. 1 minute 44 seconds against 4 minutes 12 seconds. You have to say, I think, white is struggling here, Rakesh, even though the position is very comfortable.
Yep, yep. I feel like a brilliancy on the board. That's so nice to see, especially in a rapid game. But Sahil, do you feel Rucha has done enough to make a comeback? By the way, just we can we show Mitra's game for 10 seconds because Sahil, she has played your move.
Oh wow, that's an excellent move by Mitras. Kind of changing the tone of the game completely. From defending, she suddenly went to attacking. And now White, you can see already dropping a lot of seconds on the clock. She understands, oh my God, wait, am I defending? I thought I was attacking the White. Suddenly you see weird moves come in, yeah? The White player panicking. And now Knight C4, attacking the Queen, attacking the Bishop, gaining a tempo, Rook G6 settling checkmate in one, and Black is just taking over, Rakesh.
Yeah, Black is taking over. While Katrina thinks, let's come back to the Rucha game because she has under 90 seconds, Sahil. Trades happening. Five pawns versus five pawns, three pieces versus three pieces. Looks like draw is the likely result, but does Dazzle have enough firepower to force a result, Sahil?
Okay, this is a tough one. So Rakesh, you have to make a prediction, and I'll make a prediction. So okay, what do you think happens? From Dazzle's point of view, win, draw, or loss?
I think this will end in a draw. I think White just has done enough, and 1 minute 16 seconds is like the perfect sweet spot to hold the draw.
I think Black wins. I think Black wins. That's
Okay.
gonna be my guess. So I'm hoping for an Armageddon, of course, as usual. But ooh, by the way, if you take on C6, suddenly White is having dreams of winning this. So you have to be very careful if you're Black.
True, true. And it's kind of nice, both of us rooting for our state mate players, Tanishka from Delhi, while Rucha from Maharashtra in India. So nice of that. But I feel maybe, just maybe, White has done enough in the last 4 to 5 moves. But earlier, Tanishka had just was just it was just one way traffic.
By the way, Jesse has won 2-0. So that is
Oh,
the end of the game. So she books her spot in the next stage of the event, and it was just a dominant performance. Yeah, she didn't break a sweat. Yeah, it wasn't even close. She was just steamrolling her opponent. Great fight, but the stronger player won at the end. So, by the way, Mitra is completely winning. Apparently, Rook G6
wow.
made White panic. She had to find G3, didn't find it, panicked with D5, and now the game is over. It's minus 4.5 valuation, and she's going to go for a 2-0 win.
Yeah, the knight's going to jump. The queen is going to say hello with a checkmating threat. This looks game over, Sahil.
And also, the clock does not inspire confidence. Katrina trying to come up with the odd resource here, but it simply doesn't exist. For example, if you now play G3 to block that checkmate, simply knight takes C3, pawn takes C3, bishop C5. This is H4. The queen is also kind of trapped. This is just all falling apart.
Yeah, and you know who else's position is falling apart? That's Rucha Pujari. She has just blundered. Black blundered again, but 3 pawns versus 4 pawns. Bishop versus knight. I think Black is in the driver's seat, but does she have enough time and material to convert this, Sahil?
She needs confidence, Rakesh. I mean, she's materially up. She
Yeah,
doesn't need to do
yeah.
anything. Yeah. She can just wait. She did not even need to push F5. Let's take as much
Correct.
time as possible to push that pawn. Let's not simplify anything. Let's play bishop b5, bishop a6, bishop b7. Let's drag this game as if there was no tomorrow. That's what she needs to do, and she needs to play quickly.
Yeah, just play quickly. You know, White would love to trade the 3 pawns for the 3 pawns and sacrifice the knight for the last remaining pawn for Black. And
Hmm.
in that way, she secures her seat. But now I think Tanishka using your strategy, just keeping the material on the board and playing quickly with the bishop moves in the corner.
You see, a 30-second advantage is a lot in the crunch moments. And now I think things are looking very, very positive for her. She should not exchange pawns. Like a pawn move like f4 right now just would be an instant draw. She needs to maintain the tension. Oh, she's repeating, but she should just move the bishop
Uh-oh.
somewhere. Ooh, that's a blunder. It's
Oh,
going to be
she
repetition. Oh my God, she blundered repetition.
she
Oh,
shakes
look
her
at
head.
her.
She can't believe it.
She can't believe it, and neither can I, Rakesh. I mean, that was heartbreaking because she had the win in her grasp. She could smell it literally. But I think she completely forgot that, after King f6, knight d7, she would lose this pawn. She forgot about that,
Oh.
and then it was too little, too late, and that's just heartbreaking. But Rucha Pujari, great win. She's smiling, and she goes to the next round.
Yeah, congrats to Rucha. She goes to the knockout challengers and she has earned herself $350. Very well played and good luck to her in the next week's event.
So she's the second qualifier. Let's jump to Mitra, who is ready to be the third one. Has played the brilliant move pawn to h4, breaking open White's king side. She looks confident. She's just moving in a chair. Yeah? She knows it's over. It's only a matter of time. And
Yeah,
White has
yeah.
no counterplay whatsoever.
I think this is just no possibility for White. I don't see an iota of a chance. Bishop drops back, H take G3, Rook coming in, Rook D2.
Oh, wow.
It's game
Nice.
over, style.
Yeah,
Oh,
she doesn't
wow.
even save the bishop, just takes the pawn. You
Wow.
can pick up this bishop, but g takes h2 is check. King takes h2 and queen g2 is checkmate. So this is going to be a very quick finish, 50 seconds for white.
I don't even know, Sahil, what to play as White because it's so tough. Maybe H3 or something. Oh, she plays your move,
Yeah,
which is
she
a
had to do
blunder.
it. Yeah. You're hoping black just takes on c5, but black is not going to do that. It's mate in one now. Regardless of where the king goes, queen g2, she can just pre-move. This is the Hikaru mode. Yeah. Queen g2, pre-move. Rakesh, is there a
Yeah.
move for which Queen G2 doesn't work? I don't think so, right? Queen G2 works in every
No,
case. So
no.
yeah, that's it. A 2-0 victory for Mitra as well, who after her little upset yesterday where she had to fight longer than expected, strikes back with a crushing victory, and she should be very happy. Hard luck to Katrina though.
Yeah, hard luck, but Mitra, congrats. She's moving on to the knockout challenges. Who will join? Will it be Angel or Hannah? Let's come to the last match. Sahil, Angel, as we saw, played a very, very nice game in the first game here in this match. But knight h5 in the corner for Angel. Can Hannah strike back?
who looks tough. I mean, she has some attacking
Uh-oh,
chances.
yeah.
You can see, some things happening here, but also her king is on f2. So if black manages to hold on for the next 5 moves or so, I think black might just be completely winning. So it's just a short-term attack. In fact, by the way, if this pawn was not there, I think queen h5 would just work, Rakesh.
Yep. Yep, exactly. I was thinking the same, Sahil. And Hannah is locked in. She's streaming to her audience. It's pretty late in Australia right now, burning the midnight oil. But can Hannah do it? Her fans would love that. Sahil, I feel there is just that weak king for white. Otherwise, she had enough compensation.
Yeah, maybe rook f1 and king g1. Let's kind of remove that weakness and hope black goes wrong because she still can. I mean, I can imagine. Oh, g3. I think that's a bit of a passive move. Yeah, it's kind of it's not in the spirit of the position. I think she needed more attacking ideas there, and now the black knight just hops back and maybe will come out to f5 on other pieces, and suddenly the attack is vanishing bit by bit.
Yeah, and Angel has definitely played a very nice move. Knight retreating moves are tough to find, but that kind of solidifies her position. And I think 1 minute deficit on the clock for Angel, but I think Sahil that should suffice, especially in such a nice position.
Yeah, and Rakesh, our prediction was correct. We are likely not going to have any tie breaks because Jesse won 2-0, Mitra won 2-0, Rucha, okay, I think that was close, but I think she won 1.5 half, and we're going to see likely a 2-0 victory for Angel, unless Hannah can somehow conjure up some attack in h4. She's pushing the h pawn. There is some potential still.
Yeah, yeah, I think if like we have discussed many times, it doesn't matter if you lose 2-0 or 1.5. So Hannah at least going for it. Kudos to Hannah. Let's not stop. Keep pushing.
Yeah,
H5. Maybe she opponent blunders with knight H5 or something. Good job. Let's keep trying and oh yeah, yeah. This is game over. So
yeah.
Hannah at least having the right attitude. She has to play H5 and Sahil she should play on Black's timing because only 2 minutes left for Angel.
Exactly. And that's the silver lining there that she has more time. And that means she could put up a fight here. She has to keep her king safe. That's priority number one. You can see, by the way, her streaming setup there. She has the board on one screen. She's a streamer. She's streaming to her audience likely. And H5 on the board, Rakesh,
Played.
your move. She's not giving up. She's a fighter.
Yeah, it's tricky. In a time pressure situation, you don't want your king to be attacked. You want to play nice and easy, calm, simple moves. You don't want to save your king. And kudos to Angel. She's pawn takes knight Sahil is going to be a check to your king.
Yeah, true, true, true. Tough moment, critical moment right now. Takes on e6, the best move. And now apparently King G1 for some reason was stronger than King G2. I mean, that's borderline absurd. Maybe C5 and Queen C6 check is the problem. But Black has to find C5. If she doesn't, White is potentially creating an attack.
Yeah, and look at that time. It's ticking down. Rook f5, nice move, I think. Logical move. Trying to get the other rook and double on the f5. But Hannah can open a file with pawn takes pawn, and just magically, like a genie yesterday, Sahil, get the queen to the H line.
Absolutely. I think you cannot create an attack without your queen. So the number one principle of attacking chess is to bring your queen into the position and bring her as close as you can to your opponent king. I think that's super important.
Mhm.
So automatically you're considering moves like queen g4, rook h6, whatever you can do to create real threats. Black right now, as you mentioned, Rakesh, will consider rook f8, trying to bring the rook into the game. There's pressure on e5 as well. The only problem is the king. But the queen g4 played, but there's a problem here, Rakesh, and that is this rook could potentially
Mhm.
give this deadly check. Maybe we underestimated that check.
Yeah, rook a2 check coming in. Both players have about 90 seconds. Winner gets a seat in round three of the GCL edition three. But yeah, I think Rook A2 check has to be played. Angel needs to place, and she plays it, Sal.
she has been one of the most dominant players in this tournament, yeah, in the women's
Yep.
section. Like she was the first one to finish 2-0, crushed her opponent. Even in the first game, she played very well. So she is also kind of reduced the time difference now. It's down to only 30 seconds. Rook h5. Excellent move, exchanging a pair of attackers. What a defensive resource in time crunch. And now when you move the queen, I can simply pick up one of your rooks, and it's looking very difficult for Hannah now.
Yeah, Hannah, who's in the deficit here, needs to win. Even a draw isn't enough. So it's more than likely that Sahil, no Armageddon's coming in this one.
Yeah, time is now almost equal. By the way, there's a fantastic move here. Queen takes e5.
Wow.
That is just beautiful. You can't
Wow.
take with the bishop because it's pinned, and if you take with the queen, I just take back. So if queen e5 happens, okay, that doesn't happen, would have been pretty. But rook h1, very logical. King h1, sorry, and queen h7 check. And the black king, as we have heard, the knight is the best defender of the king, keeping the king very, very safe.
Sahil, things are taking up a notch. 40 seconds for the 60 seconds. All three results possible. Angel needs a draw. Can Hannah win and advance?
Ooh, queen a7, trying to give c4 check, but white can chop off the b5 pawn. She takes it. C4
Uh-oh.
check, d4, blocking that check now, I think. Ooh, that's a
Uh-oh.
blunder. Ooh, queen
C3.
f2.
Yeah, C3
Ooh.
also suffices. Rook captures, bishop is unavoidable, and Hannah has blundered the game, the match, and her seat into the knockout challengers.
Yeah, I think that is game over now. Queen g1, very safe and sound. It's all about the clock. What? Queen d4? Wait, what? Oh, that was a free queen. Okay, that was a blunder by Hannah, and Angel has won the match 2-0.
Yeah.
A Bote's gambit to finish the game off. But I think, yeah, a beautiful, a tough fight, though, a tough fight offered by Hannah there at the end. And unfortunately, though, Angel wins. Congrats to Angel for a crushing victory. And that means we have the 4 winners, Rakesh. No tie breaks as we predicted.
Yeah, no tie breaks at all, and very well done. We have seen fighting chess in the open section as well as in the women's now. Big congrats to Angel Ruth Nugroho of Indonesia, Rucha Pujari wins with 1.5, Mitra Ejaziapur of France, and Jessie Nikki February of South Africa. Sahil, 4 different countries represented. They move on to round 3 of the GCL qualifiers, and they go to the knockout challenges. It's been an absolute delight. This was super fun. And Sahil, I'm now even more excited for the Prodigy board.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I think these games will be inspiring if they're watching the games live as well. So maybe it's time for a short break, and then we'll be back with the Prodigy boards, where, as we saw yesterday, we saw the most fight, the most passion. They're playing quickly and they wanted the victory. So let's be back in just a few minutes with the under 21 section. See you right there. And we are back with the under 21 section, Chad. I think we saw the open section, we saw the women's section, and we saw some exciting games. But I think nothing can compare to when youth battles it out. It's like a bloodbath over the board. Welcome, Rakesh Bhai. I think we saw yesterday. This section proved to be the most challenging. We saw the most number of tiebreaks as well. Do you expect that to continue today as well?
Absolutely, Sahil. I think these kids, the under 21 group, they are here. They are here to fight. They are not giving up easy. That's why we also saw an Armageddon here. I don't think there'll be any easy matches for any players. And here they are playing it out to qualify for the knockout challengers that's going to happen on 10th of October. So, Sahil, I think we have a few title players as always, but none of them have like an easy or a guaranteed seat. Everybody will sweat it out for the last four spots.
Yeah, and I think we saw, yeah, so far one tiebreak in the day. So let's see how many we get this time. And yesterday, I remember, I think it was, I think a heartbreaking moment for one of the players, right? Yesterday in
Hmm.
the under 21 section. So we saw real emotion. We also saw, I think today, Tanishka, I think, having that moment. So it's going to be very, very interesting. Muradik, by the way, yesterday showing that crazy comeback.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was an insane matchup actually against Deboshnik. So let's see how he fares today and how the other players fare as well. And it's going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think very, very interesting there. We should have kickoff very soon, Sahil. Games are about to go live. We see the games have been loaded, so
Yeah.
should go live any minute now, Sahil.
We can look at the pairings. Until then, it is
Yeah.
Muradik 2010 against FM Soren Patel. So Muradik seems to be the favorite on paper. Then we have super fast GM underscore 29, who is the top seed in terms of rating, and he plays Kalim Junov. Then we have Foxes 64 against Arun Kataria and Ross Jain against Rapid King. So the games are starting, and again, that knight c6 move order that we saw
Hmm.
yesterday, Rakesh, again on the
Tricky.
board.
Yeah, tricky, tricky. Rapid King 007. It's James Bond's day, as we have discussed already. So he is looking to, create some upsets. Already, Vignesh N, the player with the black pieces, defeated International Master RF Dingla yesterday. Can he beat FIDE Master Rosh Jen? Is the question. Sahil,
I
2 days of upsets?
I th- I think we'll see an upset here or there for sure. It's very, very normal. In terms of ratings, if we have a careful look, Muratek is the clear favorite by 350 points. Superfast GM by 500 points. So these two feel like games
Wow.
where we might have a one-sided battle, but as we have seen, that's not the case. But two boards, Roshchen as well as Foxes, like these two games are pretty balanced. So it's going to be exciting to watch. Let's jump to the Foxes game against Arun Kataria. Very solid structure, I think. Like an exchange, not really an exchange Slav.
Slav.
I think it's like
Yeah, yeah.
exchange Slav
You're
on the
right.
board. Bishop f4, e3, very, very solid, and white is very comfortable.
Yeah, White keeping the option open of, playing a solid line, maybe taking a draw, inching closer to maybe an Armageddon there. And, it's the onus is on the black player, the title player. Even the Foxes is slightly higher rated by Chess.com rapid ratings, but you never know the actual strength or the FIDE rating of these players. So, yeah, but Slav, a relatively safe option that we see. And would love to check in on Muradik versus Jawal Sorin Patel as well.
Yeah, I think Muradik is the surprise package. We saw him yesterday. What a match that was against Deboshnik. So he's already taken the pawn back on c4, like a Catalan structure, very typical. And White basically spends some time grabbing that pawn back, but he has the extra central pawn. So if he can somehow play rook e1, play e4, he will have a very, very comfortable edge. Of course, he's also banking on this bishop being a strong piece. But that's a big mistake, apparently, because bishop c2 and the
Oh,
queen is trapped.
yeah. Bishop c2, rook moves, knight b6, queen is trapped.
Oh my god, do you think black spots it? It could be like a killer move, yeah? The game could be, and he finds it. Wow.
Wow. Kudos to Jawal Soren Patel. Normally we always are expected or given positions by our coaches that white to play and win or black to play and win. This just shows that Jawal Soren Patel is extremely sharp. He's alert of any tactical possibilities and would love to see Murad's reaction. I think he missed it.
Yeah, I think he was Black was tactically alert. He noticed that subtlety that the queen on c4 is rather awkwardly placed. And now I think White has
Mhm.
nothing. He has to give the rook and save the queen. Let's say play a pawn move to a4 and just give up the exchange for nothing. And to be honest, even positionally, I think Black just looks absolutely fine. So a terrible start for I think the white pieces.
Absolutely, but one thing that we have learned from Muradek that he's a fighter. Even yesterday he had a drawing chance, but Sahil, you mentioned compared him to Gukesh, but look at him, he is distraught. He can't believe he blundered that, Sahil.
Yeah, he can't believe that. So as he thinks, let's go to the next game. Superfast GM and score Kalim Junov. We can see that White is slightly better, although the game is anything far from over. I think Black would love to put that bishop on h5, but right now the pawn on e6 is hanging. So he has to wait, have the patience, and try to win this in a long fought battle. Right now, 8.5 minutes, a minute edge for Superfast GM, who I think is the clear favorite on rating.
Yeah, we see the Gopal Krishna Maheshwari is the name. He's playing Faizullah Halim Jonov. So Faizullah Halim Jonov, just checking in on his rating, 1900 on FIDE. So around White is high rated on FIDE by 100 points. But chess.com ratings, that's Sahil, you're right, that's 500 points. So Gopal, the favorite on paper. And this looks like a French defense gone a little bit wrong for the black player.
Yeah, and knight d5 is a huge threat because you can't take with the pawn, you lose the queen. You can't take with the knight because you lose the queen. So a lot of threats in the air. Black has to be on guard tactically. So we'll come back to this. Meanwhile, Rosh Jan against
What?
Rapid King. What happened?
Sorry, sorry, let's go to Muradek's game. He has blundered his queen.
What?
The game is over.
I think he just gave up. Yeah, he thought if my opponent traps the queen, I'm gonna resign. I'm pretty sure he saw knight b6.
Yeah, and he played it after a almost a 2 minute think. So he definitely sort of, but what an early Diwali gift to Joal Soren Patel there, and it's game over.
Ah.
He's still alive in the match though.
I think he thought b5 will be the move when he'll get a chance to sacrifice it like this, and
Oh,
then the rook is appropriately placed. He just missed knight b6, and that
ouch.
just traps the queen. There are absolutely no squares. So a hard loss for Muradik there against Soren Patel, who was the underdog. So we'll see if he can strike back with the win. Otherwise, he's gonna get knocked out. So meanwhile, going to the game of Roshan against Rapid King 007. Rosh has played
Mhm.
f4. He's trying to launch an attack. Look at the white pieces converging on that f7 point. Yeah, three white pieces ready to go. The queen being the fourth one. Black has to be a bit careful here.
Yeah, and as we see Vignesh N on the top of the screen, things looking blue in at his setup there. But 6 minutes, I'm worried about that a little bit. And the weak F7 point you mentioned, Sahil. I feel Rosh Jain in the driver's seat currently.
Absolutely. And he's also, I think, 2 minutes ahead. So that's a pawn for black. But of course, white is not rid of pawns. He wants the king. And let's have one look at the final game as well to complete our roundup. And this is the game between Foxer64 and Arun Kataria. You can see rating wise pretty evenly balanced, but right now the white player having the edge. I mean, you have the bishop pair, black's pawns are doubled. It just feels like a very comfortable position to play.
Yeah, and just letting our audience know, Foxy 64 is Rathina's Sabapati, while Black is FIDE Master Arun Cutter. We see Arun on our screen. I think Sahil, he played a very nice game match yesterday against the other title player, Ashwin Sairam, and Arun was looked in control in those two games. And I think he is the favorite on paper. But kudos to Rathina Sabapati. He's brought his two rooks on the open sea line, bet upon structure. I think White is playing for two results.
Absolutely. And look at that knight on a7. That is absolutely
Mhm.
sad, to look at that knight. It has no future. If you come to c6, I might as well go to b5. So black is playing a passive game, trying to gain space on the king side. But knight a4, asking the question, you know what? I'm going to grab that pawn, fork your rooks, and it could be game over any second.
Yeah, and kudos because Arun Kataria playing black is 2300 rated player, whereas white is just 1932. So if uh, Rathina can spring up a surprise, I think this will be the upset of the day, Sahil.
Yeah, absolutely. So bishop c7 played. Nice move. Again, trying to get that pawn on b6. So let's see
Mhm,
how that turns out. Meanwhile, looking at the game of Ross Jen again, who has
mhm.
just played bishop d5, which is an interesting move. I mean, it allows black to just chop off that knight bishop on d5. So very interesting choice. I think he didn't want to give that bishop, and he's hoping at least I'll get a pass pawn on d5 and open the f file. So fair enough. And black, of course, could just ignore that bishop for now, just take the pawn and open up the b file for his rook. So pretty balanced. But look at the clock again, 2 minute edge for Rosh.
Yeah, and it's the thing is, I mean, black trades another set of pieces. Pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn. The knight on the rim is dim. We have heard if Vignesh N can take care of that knight, he should be back in the game. Otherwise, it looks like Rook B2. Big mistake, Sahil.
Absolutely. And now I think it looks very logical, right? You want to bring the rook to seventh rank, but now queen g4, bishop f6 ideas. Ooh, the queen goes in the
Oh.
other direction. Can still come to g4, I think. So that's the good news. And you're attacking the knight, attacking the pawn. So still pretty decent for white.
Yeah, still pretty decent, but the clock is the main disadvantage for black, and Vignesh has to come up with that, has to take care of that disadvantage. Otherwise, it would be very tough for him.
Yep. And as they think, let's jump to the game of Superfast GM. And you can see right now, 16 moves in. White is still slightly better. Black's bishop couldn't make it to h5. So the queen did the job of activating herself using that diagonal well. And I think black is at least fighting back for now. And time situation also very balanced.
Yeah, very balanced indeed, and it looks like Gopal Krishna Maheshwari should have the better chances here. But again, let's remind the chat about the format. It's a two-game mini match, 10 minutes plus 0 seconds increment, and it's really, really tough for
Yeah.
both players.
Yeah, and we love chess. That's why you see me with the white background and Rakesh with the black picture as his video. I don't know what's
I'm not
happening
sure.
there.
I hope you can see me on Zoom, Sahil.
Yeah,
But
I
while
can
a
see you
producer
on
tries
Zoom.
to fix that,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
am worried about black. How is he going to fix that problem of having just 4 minutes for the remainder of the game?
Yeah, tough choice there. Meanwhile, jumping to the Roche game, who is apparently completely winning after a
Mhm.
blunder queen d7 by black, because queen c6 is apparently a very strong move. Because if you look carefully, you don't have a square for the black queen that avoids the trade. Where do you place the queen? You can't defend the queen with the rook because the bishop controls d8. So you can't move the queen here, 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 here. Maybe queen c8, but I mean, that can't really be a step in the right direction. So, and if you take, then of course, my passed pawn is moving forward, and this is deadly for the black pieces. And queen c is on the board.
Yeah, Ross Jen looking like the second player after Jawal Sorin Patel to get the W. Let's have a look at that game as well. I know Jawal is in the lead, but can Jawal convert it with a draw and a win and clinch the match?
Yeah, and let's go. So this is the current position in the Jwal Sorin Patel and Muradik game. Rakesh, I think it reminds me of those Queen's Gambit exchanged positions. Like you have the bishop here. The
Mhm.
bishop on b7 right now blocked by its own pawn, but you cannot never discount it. You never know when d4 might strike. Very dynamic position, like something which Muradik should be happy about, I feel. Like gives both players some chances.
True, true. As we have been saying, it doesn't matter if you lose 2-0 or 0.5, 1.5. The idea is you have to create a fight. Imbalances are great, and we've seen Muradi yesterday. He lost the first game by a blunder or he tried too hard, like Gukesh, you mentioned yesterday, Sahil. But Muradi has the ability to make a comeback. Joel Sarin Patel, you need to be careful, especially about your ticking time there.
Absolutely. And 1 minute edge for Muradik now. That lead is dropping fast. Um, Rook a d8 played, so okay, a developing move. But now
Mhm.
Bishop h4 is apparently very strong, pinning that knight, and the rook is unfortunately placed. Now the Bishop h4, ooh, it doesn't find it placed. Knight to d4, also a logical move. But Bishop c5 maybe, and I just kind of attack the knight, activate my pieces. Looking very solid for black so far.
Yeah, very good for Black. I think Muradik, he has to forget what has happened, needs to negate the tilt. There's still chances for him to make a comeback, so he can still do it and take the game to an Armageddon. Remember, if it's a 1-all tie, the match goes to an Armageddon where I think it's anybody's chances. But first things first, Muradik needs to complete the comeback.
Yeah, 5.5 minutes each going down to the wire. Meanwhile, jumping to the super fast GM game, knight h5 was a mistake from the black side. And now apparently white can just chop the knight off and put that knight on e5 instead. You can take it back, but rook takes, and suddenly, this bishop dominates the knight. Like if you bring it, I can just take it. And somehow this bishop is not really doing much. I can double up rooks. I can even do a rook lift if I want to be really, really cool. And then I can also start pushing my queenside pawns. Knight can come to c5. And this bishop still has no future.
Absolutely, very well summarized. And Gopal Kumar Maheshwari, Gopal Krishna Maheshwari, uh, my apologies there. He looks like he's all set to convert. And Fazullah has just 2 minutes and he has to go. And look at the knight on h5. It's offside, out of the board, not doing anything. And very little time. Rook c1, nice move. Idea, knight b5.
Yeah, knight b5, attacking the queen, the bishop, and the pawn at the same time, a triple threat. So a hard one to beat. Maybe if you take on e5, but then what was the point of queen c7? So black
Mhm.
struggling on the clock in the position, super fast GM, proving why he's super fast. Meanwhile, a Nova in the chat saying super game, so cool. It is indeed cool, and it's only going to get cooler as we reach the time pressure phase of the game. Meanwhile, going to the Rosh Gen game. Ooh, wait. So we have a pass pawn on d6. We do have the active rook, but I can try to exchange it maybe with rook fb1, exchange the rooks, and white still dominates Rakesh somehow. Black lacks clear counterplay, no pass pawns.
Yeah, and mainly the whole point is of the knight on d8 is just a blockade. A white is playing as if he's a piece up. Rosh can quickly eliminate one of the rooks, thus eliminating black's counterplay, and then try to push this pawn to a queen.
Yeah, tough. And also, again, a minute's edge for the white pieces. So looking like, the white pieces are going to dominate the first game in this round. So let's have a look.
Mhm.
Also, Fox's 64 against Arun Kataria, also a better position for the white pieces. Rakesh, and then people ask us, why is white better? You can see it in action right now.
Absolutely, and as white, you don't want to do one thing. Let's say, for example, rook, yeah, pawn to a4, knight g6 by black. If you could show that cute checkmate style,
Yeah,
just one.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and pawn to e4. You want to push a knight f4 in a checkmate. So white has to be worried about that. Arun Katera will be praying for that. But Sahil, the knight goes to the other side.
Yeah, and he has that goal in mind. At
Yeah,
some
yeah.
some fine day, something magical might happen, but that looks more like a fallacy right now. And 30 to 31 seconds, I think the game could be over pretty soon, and Black's counterplay is basically non-existent.
Absolutely. Very well put. The problem is the time. 26 seconds is just too low against 2.5 minutes. And looks like it's going to be Rathina's day as he pulls off a nice upset. Repetition?
I Now, I
No.
think White has to avoid the repetition at any cost. He might as well just give the rook for the knight, yeah, then take the repetition. He's so far ahead on the clock. He's going to win this one unless he
Yeah.
blunders mate somehow. Your mate, Rakesh, he plays e4 and blunders knight f4. I think he's going to take this home.
Pretty sure he might, beating a FIDE master, booking your seat to round three of the knockout challenges. That's Rathina's dream. Can he do it? Maybe we can stick to the end of this game if there is
Yeah,
no action in the others.
absolutely. We want to see time pressure. We want to see people panic, and this is the perfect moment to do it. Um, so far, so good for the white pieces. Fox 64 taking this home. Doesn't feel like there's any clear plan for black. The knight, I mean, it's oh
What? Plays that?
Rakesh. I mean, I'm not saying it'll happen, but at least there was a chance. Okay, black missed it. And now
Yeah,
again, I think white is pretty safe. I would even consider like king g4, but maybe there are simpler
correct.
ways to solve the problem.
We see the players are fully locked in. Maybe I think, yeah, Arun just lost on time, probably.
Yeah. I think f3 was played, and I think king h4, f2, but the bishop controls the queening square, so there is nothing to do. And white will just mop off this pawn, and that
GG.
will be the end.
Yeah, good job. Good
Yeah.
job by Rathina. He beats Arun. So let's quickly jump into Rosh Jam's game. Because he's completely winning.
Wow, a piece up, simply a piece for a pawn. King f, okay, bishop f4 maybe. I don't want to give the g2 pawn. I next pick up the h
Hmm.
pawn, and then I'm a
Hmm.
piece up. I mean, it's an elementary win at Roche's level, and I think these 55 seconds are too much. He could, give out half on a loan at 7% interest and still win this game, Rakesh. Very, very
True.
elementary win.
And let's quickly come to super fast GM because uh, the black player has just 10 seconds. What a
Oh,
crazy
wow.
position, Sahil.
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of time pressure situations today. Yeah, 10 seconds on three of the boards. And by the way, G5, apparently black is still fighting. But
Black wants to
7
go
seconds
rook
is.
check. And rook on the seventh rank, try to go for a draw somehow. 40
Ooh,
seconds.
ooh, that's a tough choice. Oh, blunder by white. Oh, do you think we'll see a draw here?
Possible. 7 seconds. Oh, black has just
Okay.
too little time. Sahil.
Does white take the draw, or does white?
No way, no way. There's no checkmate. Don't take the draw.
Oh, apparently h4 is very strong, but very hard to find that. Queen f7 check is very logical though. And now what do you
Yeah.
do? Queen f6.
Just even Queen H5 wins because Fezula has just 1 second left, no increment, and you just win
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, it's apparently winning for black now, but okay, that's the power of no increment. You have to keep your clock
Yep.
under check. You cannot have excuses. So I think that's just harsh, but that's just chess.
Yeah. So we have our second winner, the third winner, in fact, and
So in the first game, basically, Muradik lost to Swarin.
yeah.
Superfast defeated Khalim Janov. Rosh defeated Rapid King, and Foxes defeated Arun. And the second game already, Swarin Patel is winning the second game as well.
Wow.
Soren is not, chilling around. He's like, bro, I'm going to crush you. And he's winning 2-0. He's right on the clock. The position is +4. It's over.
And maybe we can stick with this game because they started so
Yeah.
early. This game is already into time pressure. Remember, chat, this is the second game. Suarin leading 1-0, as Sahil mentioned, and Muradik in must win territory. Bishop f6 on the board. Muradik needs to keep going. Play fast and
Yeah.
keep pieces on the board. You might get a miracle.
Yeah, the problem is, Rakesh, the only pieces remaining on the board are the white ones. That's not exactly what Black wanted. But he has to find ways to complicate matters. Absolutely agree with you on that one. And now I could even just chop off the bishop. I could play f4, attack the queen once again. I could play e4, defend my knights. There's so many ways to do it for white. He just has to be quick. Yeah, he cannot allow black to somehow get back. Oh, we just talked about not allowing black back into the game, and there is the hope for black there. Rook c2, that thing melt in one.
Wow. I think Sahil come. Wow!
Wait,
Look at
what?
him.
Wait, what just happened? Did he win? Because
Muradik is yeah, he's celebrating. He
I
is
think he won the
celebrating.
game. Did white just blunder?
Yes. I think so. Jual Soren Patel, who had everything sorted, just blundered.
Did he move the rook away, or was he talking about like the rook c2 blunder, or is there another blunder incoming?
Not sure. He looks, he's still thinking. And Jual covers his face. He can't believe what he has done, Sahil. He's allowed him back into the game. We know Muradik, he's a fighter.
Ooh, rook e2,
Uh-oh.
and suddenly, g2
Uh-oh.
is crumbling.
He
Oh, you can
shakes his head.
see.
He holds his
Oh,
head. Queen
oh,
h3
queen
incoming.
h3.
Checkmate.
Oh my God, Queen ST is a huge threat. You take. Oh, that's what he blundered. That's what he
Jawad
blundered. That's what we're seeing. Wow.
Soren Patel misses that. What a checkmate. A cold shower, and Muradic has once again taken a match to the Armageddon after losing game
Wow.
one.
I
What a
think
guy. What a player.
Muradic clearly understands how to keep the audience on the edge of their seats. So we have the first tiebreak. So let's go to the other three games and see if we'll have any more. Meanwhile, Superfast GM doing Superfast GM things again better with the black pieces. Already challenging white center. The bishop on c1 is not happy, blocked by its own pawn. The rook is coming to c8. Then cd4 will be a threat, and it feels like white has some play, but black definitely better.
Yeah, black definitely the easier play as well. In rapid chess, you just want your pieces to flow, the game to flow smoothly so that you have minimum decision making points. So rook to e8, other rook can come to the open c line. Very simple play attacking white's queen. So simple play is always nice. And the best part for Superfast GM Sahil, he's in a 1 point lead.
Absolutely. And question in the chat, where is Isuru? Isuru actually lost, right, Rakesh? I think in the open section
Yeah.
today, 2-0. So he was knocked out, but he did play some fascinating chess there. Actually was winning, I think, in the first
Yep.
game, but then messed it up somehow. But yeah, that's chess. Bishop b5. Okay, forcing the rook back to f8. Okay, logical. Maybe also offering a repetition, but I don't think black's interested. Okay, black might be interested because he just qualifies.
Yeah,
So
but I don't think white will repeat.
very
But
interesting.
Sahil,
Where does the bishop go? You have to come back to d3.
yep, yep. While Fazula thinks about it, can we jump into Rosh Jan's game because his king is out in the open? Rosh Jan has his king side destroyed. Yeah, we'll
Huh.
try to get the chessboard back. Chat, just give us
Yeah,
like
I'm back. I think
2 seconds.
somebody's, I could see a notification. You are unstable. Oh, sorry, my internet is unstable, not me. But yeah, I think all is good now. Can you see the board, Savai? मैं
Nope.
refresh कर देता हूँ एक बार. Maybe that will get the board back, most likely. Not yet, yeah? Okay, let me check. Can you see it now? I think you should see it now somewhere.
I will chat Muradik versus Soren, Joel
This is
Soren
like
Patel
blindfold
is
chess,
heading.
Rakesh. Yeah, this feels like blindfold chess right now.
Yeah, yeah. I was just telling Chad, you're not missing in on any action because Jual versus Muradik is heading to the Armageddon. They are submitting their minus 10-minute bids as we
Ooh.
speak. So we'll check into that while we get the board. And yeah, Rosh Chen, Superfast GM, as well as Fox's 2064 are the winners of game one. These three players need just a draw to advance.
Trying again. Share it again. पूरा start से check करो. Meanwhile, while we get the board, maybe we can have the live board somewhere. I think that will also solve the issues for us because I think, by the way, Muradik's game has begun. It's again an exchange Slav, likely, I think. If we can have the board, live boarding, maybe कहीं से डाल दो समय भाई. Okay, we can see a couple of moves incoming. Okay, I can see some. I'll do it. I'll do it. Okay. Can you see it now? Oh, yeah. Awesome. So,
Yeah, we're back. We're
so
back.
new is better, Rakesh bhai. Whenever you have a chance to repair your phone, just throw it away and buy a new one. Clearly, that is better.
Through that, and let's jump back into the game. This is an Armageddon game. I think Joel Soren Patel voted for something like 8.5 minutes, a very smart bid. So he has very little time disadvantage, but also the draw odds.
Yep. And now I think the bishop either has to give itself away and give black the bishop pair, or has to come back to some extremely awkward square because bishop f4. I mean, I can already imagine kicking it away at some point. So I think maybe the best is just to take that bishop, play e3, and just kind of put that knight on c5 and hope for the best. So not the ideal start for Muradik, but as we know, start doesn't matter for him. He'll always come back one way or the other.
True, true. Yeah, he's an expert in making comebacks. So definitely Muradik will try for another and complete the comeback in a way, Sahil. And I feel, this game might look like in Joel's favor, but the momentum definitely in Muradik's favor.
Also, by the way, Fox's 64 has cruised to the
Oh,
next round
wow.
with a 2-0 win against FM
Wow.
Arun Kataria, who has been knocked
Well
out.
done.
So, easy conversion there. Also, Rosh Jen about to get a 2-0 victory as well. Although White has an attack, so we shouldn't discount White's chances here, but objectively, Black is better. White doesn't have enough pieces. So maybe we stick to this game because we might see a
Yeah.
very quick finish here.
Yeah, you remember Rosh Jen won the first game in this match. So Rapid King has to make a comeback. Rosh with the extra piece, with the extra point, but an extra minute for Vignesh there.
And look at the king, yeah. The rook cutting off here, the queen attacking here. The king has to be careful. Maybe bishop g4 apparently is a very good move, trying to bring the rook to f8 as soon as possible. Also
Mhm.
covers some important squares like f3 and h3. So very interesting. Let's see what happens. Also, maybe there are other options. Apparently, queen c2 also works, but this is not something you do when you're trying to defend.
No way. Yeah. Get your pieces out. Bishop g4 played on the board. Idea is rook f8, and like they say, once you're ahead in material, trade, trade, trade. Try to trade as many pieces as possible. So the resulting position, you will always have an extra piece than your opponent. I think Roche is clearly better and should take this home, barring a miracle.
Yeah, talking about trades, let's jump to the game of Superfast GM again with the white pieces who needs a draw. But things can go either way right now because apparently he's more than 2 minutes behind the clock. And if that wasn't worrisome enough, I think black has completely equalized here. Sorry, he's black. Oh, my bad. Then I think, is
Yeah.
actually fighting for a draw pretty well. And the more trades that you have in the game, the more chances for a draw increase. And somehow this F pawn is the last bet that I think white has here. At the right moment, you want to push it and combined with the bishop, you want to utilize some attacking chances, but looking a bit difficult.
Yeah, and we see Fezullah trying to think about that. Gopal as relaxes in his chair. He is definitely happy to trade. They trade a pair of rooks. Now Gopal really wants to plonk his bishop on f6, stop all the counterplay, and saying, whenever you move the knight, we trade another set of pieces. That's definitely going to help him. And Gopal with a 3 minute advantage as well. I think he's a heavy favorite right now as things stand.
Absolutely. And Black about to seal the deal here. Meanwhile, Rosh Jen, we have a
Mhm.
few updates. Knight e6 was played, bishop
Mm.
takes, and the only move for Black to get a winning advantage is rook to f8. The good news is even a draw will work for Black, so he has multiple options, but rook f8, the cleanest, but I think the most logical move, right? You want to exchange the rooks anyways.
Course, and that's why you move the bishop out. The rook comes to f8. Rosh probably just double checking, triple checking everything because a very important seat is up for grabs in round three of the GCL qualifiers, and he goes to the knockout challengers along with $250 in prize money. Rosh doesn't want to allow any slip ups.
Meanwhile, jumping to the Muradi game again, he's worse. I'm not going to make any predictions here because they turn out to be useless at the end, Rakesh. But as of now, I think Storin must be thinking, I'm this close again. I don't want to botch this up this time.
True, true. Look at the horrible queen on A1. It's like on the rook starting position. Looks like White was trying out some variant of the freestyle chess here, but White is in shambles in a must-win situation. As Muradik shakes his head, he can't believe what is going on. But he's known as the king of comebacks. If you're Jual Sarin Patel, don't relax. Stay
Yeah,
focused.
never relax is the quote when you play against Muradik. So going back to the game of Superfast GM, who is looking towards getting a 2-0 win and qualifying into the top four. Rook D7 played now, so controlling that C7 square, very important. White was threatening Rook C7, Bishop D4 activity, keeping the bishop centralized, blocking the Rook's file as well. But again, like how does White win this? There is no counterplay, there is no attack. I mean, you don't want to trade queens anyways, so Black is pretty safe and sound.
True, true. And I was just thinking, even if you give me a couple of extra moves as White, I can't do anything. Like even if,
Yeah,
as Black says pass and White plays two, three extra moves, there's nothing concrete that I can create. And with a 3-minute advantage on the clock, I think Gopal has 1 foot in the knockout challengers.
agreed. And Black is already offering a repetition: Queen F5, Bishop
Yeah,
D8.
yeah, there we go.
And White has to avoid it. White has to avoid it. Plays Queen E3. Queen A3, sorry. And now, yeah,
Smart.
but
I
only
mean,
1 minute and 45 seconds, Rakesh. This is not looking great.
agreed, agreed. Not looking great, but kudos to Fazlon trying. It doesn't matter. You have to play on. You have to try something. Otherwise, you're going to go home any which way. 1 minute 42 is the big worry here for Fazlullah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Rosjan against Rapid King. I think we did see Rook F8 there. Excellent choice. Rook G1 threatening some deadly check, and Rook F7 again, the only move. And Black has now stabilized. If you give this check, for example, there is Queen F8, and somehow everything harmoniously fits like a Tetris game, Rakesh. Like it just
Yeah.
everything falls into place like a jigsaw puzzle, and Black is absolutely safe here, and White's chances are going to evaporate unless he finds something in the next two moves. I think two moves maybe he has to confuse Black.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Two moves or Rapid King is out of here, and I feel Vignesh and should be very proud of the way he beat Arav Dengla yesterday. But today he came up a little short. But I think a last throw of the dice, Sahil, as you mentioned, Queen G5, trying to complicate matters, but Roche calmly defends with Queen F8.
Yeah, the queen comes to the defense of the king. Very safe and sound. The bishop on e6 is loose, but it's not attacked. So it's pretty safe. And of course, d4, bishop d5 ideas incoming. The white king is rather much weaker than the black king, I would say, right now. So looking quite hard for the white player here. So yeah, also, I think going to the super fast GM game again, we've had a bunch of queen moves, but not much has changed, Rakesh. And still, black in control of the c file, active bishop. Feels like black is doing great. And look at the time.
Yeah, big advantage on the clock, on the position, on the scoreboard as well. Superfast GM Gopal Maheshwari looks like he is about to seal the deal. As Fazula trying to figure out any little iota of counterplay, I don't see at all because yeah, knight can come to f4. Even then, what? Like, there's no threat at all, and barring a big blunder by Black, I think Black is going through.
Yeah, bishop f7, preempting knight f4. And there is no play. We can see while drop below the 1 minute mark, that's when the nerves also show up. You start panicking. Your hand suddenly, slips. You make a mouse slip or you make a bad move somehow. And the bishop's doing a great job. Look at the bishop on f7, controlling every single square the knight can jump to. You jump, I take, you jump, I take, and white pieces are not active enough somehow.
Yeah, and let's go to the Roche Jain game because he has won with a devastating checkmate. You mentioned White's king might be weak, and that's what happened. And Roche won a really, really nice game there with the
Wow.
bishop sacrifice. And with that, Roche Jain is through to next week's knockout challengers. Congrats to Roche, and let's check who else will be joining him in the last two remaining matches of the Knockout Title Prodigy Edition.
Yeah, Fox 64 moves through, Ross moves through, both players winning with a 2-0
Mhm.
score. Now I think
Yeah.
Superfast GM trying to do the same. The knight has hopped in on e6 and black refuses to take for now, puts the bishop on f8 and now threatens to take. Queen comes to support the knight on e6, but the problem is h5 here, Rakesh. And to maintain protection, you will have to go to h3. Oh, that is not so comfortable.
True. Oh, as we see Fezullah shouting, he can't believe what's going on. He made a very angry reaction there. And the point is, even after Queen G4, there is no threat for White. And as
Yeah.
yeah, you can capture Queen takes E6, probably he missed this. Under 30 seconds, I think we are seeing the last of Fezullah in this year's competition.
Yeah, and there's a 1 minute edge. Pretty safe. Bishop e7, bishop f6 takes care of all the potential counterplay you can imagine with rook c7. And
Mhm.
Superfast GM is going to go to the next round. One look at the Muradik against Sorin game, which seems to be very interesting. But as usual, Muradik under huge pressure on the clock, on the position, feels like black is going to win.
Yeah, Muradik is his games always end at the end. They always give us and the viewers a smile on their face because he keeps fighting till the very end. But this time, I think Jual Soren Patel has the edge. In fact, even a draw suffices for him to move on. So Jual in the driver's seat.
Yeah, so let's jump back. I think 20 seconds for the white
Uh-oh.
player here to create some last minute tricks. Doesn't feel like there is any rook c6, maybe pinning that bishop is the last strike. King d5. All black needs to do is just not maybe going into a pawn end game. Yeah, that's the last of. We see the player talking. Yeah, he's disappointed. Yeah, with this play.
Yeah, we saw him banging the table, Magnus Carlsen style. Pawn to edge for king c6 is nice. Just a few more moves by black and white will lose on time, and that's the drawback of thinking a lot in the opening stages in this format.
Yeah, I think the best solution is to play openings you understand very well, structures you understand very well, and uh, and solve a lot of tactics, Rakesh. And now rook a8 was an excellent move for black, trying to activate the rook, just take on a2. 6 seconds, 18 seconds. Any chances of white,
Uh-oh.
Rakesh? Any chances?
Oh no, not after this. The brooks are traded. Now you can't
Wait,
win.
what?
Yeah, but you can't win with such little time.
Oh,
Both,
but he was winning. Yeah, he was
yeah,
winning technically, but
even
he
in the
couldn't
first
convert.
game, Sahil, both games, even
Yeah.
in the first game, he was winning, but he lost on time in both the games. But congratulations to Superfast GM. Gopal Krishna Maheshwari is another qualifier from today. Congrats, and let's go to the last match, Sahil.
So 3 games did not reach qualifiers, 2-0 victories for the stronger player. And now we are back to the tiebreaker of the final game. We saw a very quick first game here where, we saw a blunder, essentially, a queen blunder by Muradi. But then he struck back with some stunning counterplay. And now we have the final game. 40 seconds from Radik. Rakesh, this just looks like it's over.
Yeah, he looks very disappointed. 6 pawns, sorry, 5 pawns each, but just no time on the clock for Muradik. And Jual Sarin Patel is also very animated there. 3 minutes for him. Can he trade all the pawns and secure the draw, Sahil?
Yeah, I think he just wait. He can just wait. There's no pressure on him. Yeah, he's doing exactly what you mentioned. By the way, f5, e4. But I'm not sure that e4 helps white. Do not forget, this is the tiebreaker. All black needs is a draw. That's all he needs here, and it looks like it's going to be very simple after h5 played on the board.
Yeah. Trade, trade, trade. If you want to draw, doesn't matter if it's like pieces or pawns. This is, I think, heading to a draw. And was the Armageddon? Joel Sarin Patel smartly just, oh, repetition there.
Yeah.
I don't think Murad was planning to draw, but congrats to Joel. And with that, Sahil, we have our 4 qualifiers. Join us, chat, in congratulating Raj Jan, Foxes 64, Superfast GM 29, and Joel Sarin Patel.
I think the games have been very exciting. The format is also very nice. You are on, you are edgy throughout the entire match. Like you cannot afford to lose even once. And you can see the comebacks, the blunders. They're so much fun to watch. And with this, Rakesh, I think we have narrowed down the field. We started with 16 players yesterday. Now we had 8, and now 4 moved to the next round, where I think
Mhm.
4 invited players joined them, if I'm not mistaken. But regardless, I think we've had a
Yeah,
bunch of
yeah.
eliminated names, some happy faces, some sad faces, but the ones who qualify have their dream alive.
Absolutely, very well put, Sahil. And I'll just quickly mention the invited players that we have in the men's section. There is Sahil, you'll be mind blown looking at the list. In the men's section, we have Jose Martinez, Jospem, Benjamin Book, Andrew Tang, and Abhimanyu Puranik. Those are
Wow.
4 top tier GMs, and our 4 qualifiers have their task cut out. In the women's section, we just have Yulia Osmak from Ukraine, I think, who is confirmed.
I hope
But
this list
in
is
the
public already, Rakesh.
yeah, this is on the
Okay.
GCL website,
Okay,
and
awesome,
in
awesome,
the
awesome.
prodigy section, the most the top 4 prodigies of the world, and we have Faustino Oro, Denis Lazovic, Pranav Anand, and Pranesh N as the invitees, and it's
Wow.
going to be tough.
Wow, that's an exciting field. Even hearing the names, the kind of battles we're going to see next week. So, anybody watching, do not miss out on it. We're going to have some tough competition, and the players who have won today, they can celebrate for today, but I think they have to practice for the next week because the battle ain't easy.
Definitely not easy. The round three, that is knockout challenges of the Tech Mahindra Global Chess League, happens on 10th, 11th, and 12th of October. Do join us then. Till then, thank you so much, Sahil. It was a delight hosting the show with you. And of course, to our producer, Samay, thank you so much. And the entire GCL think tank and the team, as well as the Chesscom, Fair Play, Proctors, and the event organizers. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, Sahil. Take it away.
Yep, I think you stole my words, Rakesh. I think thank you to everyone participating in this as well. I think you guys make the event what it is, and thank you for giving us such excitement with the games. And we'll be back next week with even more exciting games, as you can see from the players list. It's gonna be fancy, it's gonna be sharp, and we're gonna see a bunch of blunders. So see you next week. Till then, take care and good night. Bye bye.